More phone calls from the lost and found of free speech.
Outrageous opinion and controversial comment with the dual voltage dream team. The Michaels, Graham and Parry. He's back, is he?
Through the night until dawn's early light.
The two Mikes, Parry and Graham on Talk Sport.
Look at the light! I go, don't worry about the time. Yeah. I can play the sexy phone, the sexy phone, the sexy phone. I can play the sexy phone, the sexy, sexy phone.
This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the two Mikes. It's time to say a very good morning and a very warm welcome to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Good morning, Mr. Graham. Yes, it is indeed a great morning in terms of yet another bizarre...
Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
Just bizarre.
Just the most bizarre set of circumstances in Newcastle.
Right.
I mean, you can explain a bit more fully in a minute about what happened on the media side of the arrangements today, which is very interesting to us because we're journalists. May not be that interesting to the fans and to the listeners of this show, but it does indicate to everybody the sense of utter chaos that still pervades at Newcastle.
It's obviously kind of like the lunatics have taken over the asylum. It's all got a bit mad.
Absolutely.
You know, we're going to get stuck into what Mike Ashley's done. He seems to have stepped down from the board.
Yes.
You know, Steve McLaren seems to have stepped up to the board. We've just heard him explaining that he turned down the job at Newcastle before because he had a job to do at Derby. They were top of the league. He said, we were going to get into the Premier League and I wanted to finish the job. Well, he finished the job, but they didn't get into the playoffs. So,
exactly.
I mean, you know, what was the point of that?
He finished the job by making sure they didn't get into the same league he's now managing in, which is very odd. But the strangest thing was, he tried to explain away this fantastic arrangement, and what I won't try and... You see, I'm going to try and do Steve McLaren doing a Geordie accent with a
Dutch sort of tinge.
Tinge to it, but I won't do that. Right. Even that's too ambitious.
There's been a lot of people actually talking very, very highly of your John Carver impersonation.
Well, thank you very much
some
indeed.
of them are now very sorry they're not going to hear that anymore.
Yeah, well, that's pure Geordie, so that wasn't difficult.
Well, maybe we'll do a bit of that later on. Imagine what Mr. Carver has to say about it all.
Oh, it's a canny day. But no, what I was going to say was... Yeah, that's right. Steve McLaren tried to explain the structure with any words.
Yes.
So he said he likes being a coach. He likes being out there and doing it.
Right.
And he doesn't want to have anything to do with signing players.
Of course not, no. Why would you?
Yeah, somebody else will make that decision for him. Somebody else will do that. Hasn't got to work with any administration, hasn't got to do any paperwork and all that. He just scouts out there. Does this mean, then, that when Steve's out on the training field, you know, getting all the players into shape and devising new tactics, some new players arrive and
you won't know who they are.
They have to introduce themselves to, and what position do you play?
Yeah,
exactly. Oh, I see, right, and who signed you? Oh, right, OK.
And then he'll have to say, I'm terribly sorry, as much as I really enjoy being on the training ground, there's a board meeting, I've got to go and attend it.
He's been made a member of the board along with his chief scout. Yeah. But Mike Ashley is no longer a member of the board.
But what does that mean, though?
Well, I don't know. Who calls the board meeting?
Well, I've no idea. I mean, is Mike Ashley still in charge? Is he still chairman?
He still owns the club.
Yeah, but,
has
he still got a title of chairman? Because I presume you can be chairman and not actually sit on the board.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you can, yeah, but he's the owner of the club, isn't he?
It's all very confusing, isn't it?
Barrel. Yeah, I got the impression that, and when he said, I could have had this job in 2004, could have had it, a year ago... Yeah. I mean, is that supposed to inspire the fans? Oh, this is a bloke who's consistently not taken the job.
But also the reason that he knew...
it's timing.
But the reason that he knew it was a great job and that he always wanted it was when he was manager at Middlesbrough, one of the rival clubs in the North East, when he decided, actually, this is a great job, but I'd rather have the job at Newcastle.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's all very weird. And you say, quite rightly, that some of the fans might not be as interested in the whole media scenario as we are. Yes. However, there's a reason why I think they need to know that the media partners were the only people allowed into the press conference. Now,
and how are they defined? How are the
media partners are presumably advertisers or people with whom they have some commercial relationship, because my understanding is it was Sky Sports News from television and it was the Daily Mirror from newspapers. Now, I don't know what the local paper situation was, but the problem is that if you only allow certain media organisations into a press conference and you don't allow everybody else in, then you basically control the questions. You basically control what gets asked and you control what gets put out there.
Incidentally, you talk about Mirror Group newspapers, right? They own a group of papers in the Midlands, including the Coventry Evening Telegraph.
Well, they own Trinity Mirror, don't they?
Trinity Mirror, that's right, absolutely. The Coventry Evening Telegraph reporters now have been told that don't worry about getting interesting stories, just get stories that log up a great number of hits on the website.
Yeah, OK. Wouldn't that be interesting stories?
Well, I can't work this out.
I mean, if they're not very interesting, why would anybody look at them?
No, I was reading this today. And I hope I'm not misinterpreting it. But the essence of it all is... This is what I meant. It's a local paper, the Coventry Telegraph. Yeah. The story doesn't have to be interesting to local people in Coventry.
Oh, I see.
It has to get a load of hits.
So it
has to get hits.
So it could be a story about Kim Kardashian.
Or anything. Or anything.
Oh, right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bit like...
They've just made a load of people redundant at the Daily Record in Scotland, right?
Right.
And on the grounds that Trinity Mirror, who also own that paper, have basically said, and I mean, I make no... I have nothing against Trinity Mirror. I used to work for them. You know, that's not the point. But they've said that, you know, what we need to do now is to make sure that we consolidate all of the different platforms on which we produce media. Yeah. So therefore, it's on the internet, it's in the newspaper.
And how do they consolidate this? By sacking enough people to make sure that the people left have to do everything.
Yeah, basically, so they get rid of anybody who'd have to pay a lot of money to, and they hire a load of people who can do anything not very well.
But anyway, look, we shouldn't be slagging off other news organisations. You know, we know what we're doing here at TalkSport. And one of the things we do is provide a platform for you guys out there. Now, it may sound like good news to all you Geordies, and by the way, we're going up to Newcastle in July.
Yes, we are.
Doing a show at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House, folks. We'll tell you all about it on another occasion.
Indeed. But what I want to do, though, is get some... There must be Newcastle fans who know a bit more about what's going on than we do.
Those are the ones I want to talk to.
Yeah, okay.
Because what I'm saying is, it's the dawn of a new era now. Yeah. Newcastle have got a new manager, but this is a manager who was in, out, shake it all about over the last 6 weeks as to whether he was taking the job or not taking the job. Yeah. As you quite rightly said, when he thought he was going up with Derby into the Premier League, he spoke about the Derby board as being the best he'd ever worked for, the most supportive, the ones who had a vision for the Premiership. Right. The only problem was he couldn't get him into the Premiership.
But he also said, when they failed to get into the playoffs, right, that he was going to stay there because there was still speculation even then that Newcastle would come for him. And he said, I've still got a job to do here, i.e. I'm going to stay here for another season and I'm going to get them up into the Premier League next season.
It's unbelievable.
But let me give the number out because we want to hear from Newcastle fans. There must be a lot of talk up there in Newcastle about exactly what is going on. 08717 22 33 44. Please do tell us what you know. But let's have another
Do you mind
listen.
if I just repeat that number? Because my voice has a greater resonance in the North East.
Really?
People know me up there. It's 08717 22 33 44. Give us a shout. We want to talk to you if you're a Newcastle fan.
Now, let's hear some more from Steve McLaren.
I sort of knew when I came here and Champions League, Liverpool or Arsenal, I thought maybe one of them we would draw, and it is Arsenal. I think one of the toughest teams in the draw, and I think it will be very, very difficult for our players, but also a great experience. We have a young team, and to experience big games, Champions League, Arsenal, at home, the Emirates, will be fantastic for the players, not just for now, but in the future as well.
Tremendous, isn't it?
Now, that, of course, was him talking as the manager of Twente, wasn't it?
FC Twente, yeah.
Yeah, so he fooled the listener a little bit there by putting... I mean, as soon as he mentioned...
I think they may have played that by mistake.
No, I don't think so. We played it deliberately just to show you what we're dealing with here. A man who's very, very versatile in his working environment. Yes. But once, of course, you mentioned Champions League, the idea of Newcastle and Champions League simply don't rub together.
I mean, he's said that he's become convinced by the mission statement that was put out by Mike Ashley, who has now... We're not quite sure what he's done. Here's what he says about that, right? The key was the statement he made before the West Ham game, where he actually came out with drive and determination and focus and talked about the objectives and what he wanted to achieve. He did it with such verve and vigour. Everyone was convinced. Everyone was rejuvenated.
Now,
really?
Now, that to me is the most grovelling statement I've heard from a manager newly appointed to a club in a very, very long time.
Right.
That statement from Mike Ashley was an off-the-cuff statement. The reporter up there, David...
It was the first time he'd spoken to anybody, wasn't it?
In about 10 years. Yeah. David, what's his name? David Craig. David Craig.
Don't give his name out.
No, it's okay. The North East reporter dragged him in front of a camera, or got him in front of a camera.
Yeah.
There was no preparation for it. It was off the cuff.
Right.
The idea now that, now Steve's presenting this as a mission statement, wasn't a mission statement. It basically said, whew, I'm relieved we haven't been relegated, and I'll stay here till we win something. That includes getting into the top four.
Right.
But if that's a mission statement, that's the mission statement of every owner of every club in the world.
And as it's been pointed out in one of the papers this morning, there's only two things that Newcastle United can win. That's basically the FA Cup and the League Cup. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing else they can win this season, is there?
Well, yes, according to Mr. Ashley, getting into the top four would be a trophy as well.
Yeah, well, they're not going to get the top four.
No, of course they're not.
I mean, forget that.
Not going to get anywhere near the top four. You're absolutely right. But what an absolute conundrum of a day to get a manager appointed who then immediately concedes that he's not the manager, he's the coach.
Right.
He actually said that, you know, I'm coach.
Which is not unusual in football these days, to be fair.
It doesn't work in this country. That's the point I was about to make.
But it's working in a lot of clubs, though, isn't it?
No.
I mean, it's happening in a lot of clubs, let's put it that way.
It's never worked in this country. Spurs tried it 2 or 3 times, didn't work.
But they've still got a director of football at Spurs who manages all of that, doesn't it?
Who is it?
They've still got that guy that everybody blames for causing all the problems.
No, seriously, who is it?
I can't remember his name.
No, neither can I. And I'm not condemning you for not remembering his name. I mean, he's so insignificant, I don't know who he is.
No, he's the Italian guy, isn't he?
Italian guy, is he?
Yeah.
Is it Camolli?
No, not Camolli, no. It's Bandini or something.
Bandini, is it?
Yeah. It's one of those guys.
I thought he'd gone off back to Juventus or somewhere.
I don't think so.
I think we're thrashing around in the dark here.
Baldini, that's it.
Baldini. Yeah. Oh, it's Baldini, is it? Right, okay.
Yeah, he's still there. And they've still got guys at Liverpool who buy the players. There's still got people at Manchester City who buy the players, you know, and the manager doesn't appear to have any say. Yeah. So that might not be the bad thing, but the thing but the thing that's very odd is that why is he on the board and why has Mike Ashley stepped down and exactly what is his role at the club now?
The people of Newcastle deserve better, my view. They've got a magnificent club there. They've got a huge stadium. It's a one-club city. It's got a hinterland of about 100 miles in every direction, you know, where there isn't another football club worth... So, well, I'm being rude. I mean, there's Sunderland and Middlesbrough, obviously, to the south, but to the north there's nowhere. To the west there's nowhere. North, south, east, west, that's right. And to the east there's the North there's the North Sea.
Yeah.
So you couldn't get a football club in the North Sea.
No, you couldn't. That wouldn't be a very good idea at all. He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham. We are the Two Mics. I want to hear from Newcastle fans. We're going to talk to Stephen Caldwell coming up, who was studied football under John Carver, who was his youth team coach. We're going to find out what he makes.
Studied football?
He studied football under John
Carver was his lecturer?
He was his youth team coach, yeah. 08717 22 33 44. This is Talk Sport. This is TalkSport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry. Together we are the Two Mics. There will, of course, be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. We're talking about Newcastle United. Stephen Caldwell's going to join us, former Newcastle defender. John Carver was his youth team coach, even though you were mocking me earlier for saying that John Carver was the one that taught you about football. When he's your youth team coach, he teaches you about football. That's the whole point. And he's got probably a lot to say. He's playing over in Toronto now. By the way, I should have a bone to pick with you as well.
Why is that?
Because last night you were poo-pooing.
Well, let's face it, mate. You don't need somebody to pick a bone with for you to eat a few bones.
I don't eat bones.
Usually spare ribs, actually.
No, I don't actually eat that.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't eat spare ribs.
I've seen you digging into the spare ribs.
I haven't eaten a spare rib for years.
Well, that's because you haven't been in a Chinese restaurant for a long time, because you kebabs.
Oh, I thought you meant the... I was in a Chinese restaurant not long ago. I didn't have spare ribs.
Oh, really? Where was that?
It was somewhere in London.
Oh, I don't remember being invited.
No, you weren't invited, no.
Oh, why was that then?
Well, because why would I want to go with you? I see too much of you as it is. I want to go out for dinner with you as well. Anyway, listen.
Okay, I remember that then.
Yeah, here's the point. Here's the point, right?
Nasty and aggressive.
Yesterday, you were poo-pooing the idea that Steve McLaren was going to be the...
Please don't use that word.
Well, what would you like me to say?
Well, I mean, that's just such a silly, stupid word.
Well,
poo-poo, what does that mean?
Well, it just means you were kind of dismissing it, shall we say.
Blanking.
You were dismissing it. Yeah. Poo-pooing is a perfectly good word to use.
No, it's not. It's a silly,
all right, well,
childish
reference
word.
to you, I won't use it. It has no connotation as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, you were basically dismissing the notion that I was giving you that Steve Stone and John Carver had gone and that Steve McLaren was the new manager. You were saying it hasn't happened yet. You know, we don't know if it is going to happen.
Well, also,
you were being very cautious.
Hang on. The Steve McLaren, Willie Won'ty Newcastle saga has been running for 2 or 3 months, and perhaps longer, over a year, right? So you can't blame me for putting my journalistic hat on and showing great cynicism.
No, you were wrong, weren't you?
No, you believe anything you're told. That's your problem.
No, I don't. I knew that it was going to happen.
No, you didn't know it was going to happen. I mean, in the end, it happened because I'll tell you why it happened. In the end, Steve McLaren had nowhere to go, and Newcastle have the greatest difficulty in attracting a manager of any quality because of the very bizarre way the club is run. And I mean, bizarre way is exemplified by what you opened the show with tonight about the media arrangements, i.e., who could go in and report
all the other
on.
journalists who weren't supposed media partners, I should explain, were left outside for 3 hours. Steve McLaren then sneaks out a back door, and when they approached him as he was getting into his car and said, "Can you talk to us?" he said, "No, I'm not allowed to."
Yeah, well, that's great communication,
isn't it?
Do these clubs not realise that those guys who work for newspapers, particularly the local ones, Chronicle and the Journal, who have a microphone in their hand and work for local radio, who have a TV camera on their shoulder, they are the link between the club and the fans. Yeah. They are the representatives of the fans because they're asking the questions.
That's what I'm saying. So the fewer of them that are there, the less the fans get to find out.
So the club are basically saying, sorry, this is a Stalinist organisation. We don't have to give you any information about what we do here. You only buy the season ticket and fund the club. Right. Push off. We're not telling you anything.
And also, guess what? If you want to go and find out anything from the website, you have to pay £4 a month to watch the videos for the press conference.
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
Well, it's now a subscription business.
Subscription-only business.
Newcastle United website.
Yeah, you have to be a subscriber. £4 they want. Yeah, I'm not joking.
Good God, I can access my club's website anytime, day or night, and see all sorts of interviews with players and everything.
Yeah, well, apparently it's £4 a month if you're a Newcastle fan. So if we want to hear from some of you up there, because surely you're not paying that, are you? 08717
Who would subscribe to that?
3344. Well, I can't imagine who would.
I wonder how many subscribers I've got. I bet you there's the lowest number of subscriptions to any website in the world is the Newcastle United Football Club official website. And if I'm wrong and somebody at Newcastle wants to ring up and correct me, please do. I'd love to be corrected.
Yeah, and it won't cost you £4 either.
No.
Steve McLaren has vowed to breathe new life into Newcastle and made winning a trophy his #1 priority. That's the story on the back page of the Sun this morning. Time to dream again. But anyway, listen, before we carry on with this, because we will take some calls very shortly, and we will talk to Stephen Caldwell. How's the car? Because last night you told me that you were at death's door practically.
I didn't
with
say
your
that.
brakes were about to fail all the way down to Streatham.
Well, I'm delighted to, having done some research today, to find out just what a beautifully efficient machine my car is.
Really?
Because what happens is...
Well, so far it's only smoked its way up the A3 when you first got it, right?
Well, that's because there was grease on what's called the block, which is the underneath of the engine.
5 punctures, right?
No, it's had 2 punctures. Three punctures.
And now the brakes have failed. It's a really good car, isn't it? It's great.
Nobody can help having a puncture if a broken nail goes into your tyre. It's just unlucky.
No, you are unlucky, though.
But what is brilliant about it was... I didn't even know there was a puncture until my computer in my car told me you've got a puncture.
Your computer?
How efficient is that?
Yeah, well, it's marvellous,
The reason the block was smoking, right, and I used the block
advisedly.
I'm sorry,
if you buy an expensive car, it shouldn't have smoke coming out of the bonnet.
It didn't. It had smoke coming from underneath the car. Because what happened was, a new car...
It's like some of the other wacky races
No, it's not. A new car has a load of grease around the block.
Well, I've never, ever experienced that.
I don't know what the block
car.
is, but this is the explanation.
You don't even know what the block is?
I don't know what the block is. But
I bought a new Mercedes, the same car as yours.
Actually, you should be called the block.
Yeah, well, maybe I should be. Maybe I should be.
Yeah.
And you could be called the tackle. But, back in 2005, I think it was, I bought a brand new Mercedes.
Still got it?
No, because I had it for 3 years. I gave it back. After 3 years, I leased it. Why would I still have it?
Well, because you've got, old cars. I thought you've kept
that was the last new car I bought, right?
Yeah.
And it certainly didn't ever smoke when I drove it away from the showroom.
Anyway, get back to the brakes.
So how the brakes, anyway?
So I get hold of my dealer today, the Epsom branch of the Mercedes dealership.
Yes.
And ring him up.
I imagine they put you right at the bottom of the pile because you've got such a cheap version of a Mercedes.
No, that's absolute rubbish.
Really?
They know.
You mean the guys with the E-Class don't go ahead of you?
Well, they see the order forms for the car I'm having next.
Oh, yeah.
So they know things.
What's that then?
Well, I don't
S
have to go into that. I don't have to go into that. Our audience don't want me boasting about
no, of course not.
Having a nice car.
No, they don't want to hear
I don't like to do that. Man of the people. Anyway, the point is, so I ring them up and I say, look, there's this sign on my computer dashboard and it says, warning, check... what are they called? Brake pads.
Brake pads, yeah. You told us all this, so I want to find out what happened.
Okay. I'm just about to tell you how brilliant a car it is.
Right.
So the man who's the service manager at this dealership tells me not to worry, Mr. Parry. He says, when that comes on, and it's in yellow, I said in yellow, he said, you've got 1,000 miles of motoring left before they've actually got to be changed, so you don't have to bring it in immediately.
Right.
Anyway, it's booked to go in next week for new brake pads and all that kind of stuff. However, he did say to me, it's unusual for the brake pads to go at this point in the car's history. Do you drive in a very
aggressive manner?
That's what he said to me.
Yeah. That's what I said to you last night.
No, I said, no, I don't. He said, well, it's unusual to go. He said, look, I would advise you to get the car here before you've done another 500 miles, not 1,000.
Right.
Because it could be that you're...
Well, see, obviously you've got a leaden foot. You're very heavy on the brakes. That's what he's saying.
No, I'm not. I mean, the point is, when you think like me, you think fast, you act fast, you react to situations.
Yeah, and you drive aggressively.
I suppose because my brain is like that, it's super reactive and super active all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe my driving style is like that. It could be it's like that.
I think after I said this to you last night, you completely and utterly dismissed that as well.
to get on in life, you see what I mean, and get from A to B.
Yeah, but it's not
As I have impatience mentally to get from, problem A to solution B.
Yeah,
you see what I mean?
But it's not a good way to drive because it wears the car out quicker. That's the point. And so now that he said it to you, at least you'll take some notice.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
What about all these monkeys going around getting completely utterly intoxicated all afternoon?
Yeah, I saw that. Somebody tweeted me that story.
They sound like a friend of mine who's another TalkSport presenter.
No, really? Yeah. I don't think you should be giving out any names.
No. The human-like qualities of chimpanzees have long captivated naturalists, but now a new report from West Africa says that they share a trait with human beings.
Oh, yeah.
It's called the afternoon drinking session. For the first time, scientists...
Is this before or after they've been cooking their stone-baked pizza?
Well, probably... I mean, this is probably all part of chimpanzee behaviour.
Yeah, right.
You know, the chimp is a very intelligent animal. Tommy the chimp, still incarcerated in New York. We're still working on that one. That campaign is still underway, believe me. Now, it says, for the first time, scientists have filmed chimpanzees enjoying alcohol in the wild. The creatures were recorded in West Africa drinking fermented sap from palm trees, and the female of the species consumes as much as the males. That sounds like human behaviour in places like Magaluf.
Magaluf, yes.
Is it Magaluf that's
that's where they've been trying to crack down on the ridiculously overindulgent drinking that goes on there.
That's right.
Without very much success.
Without very much success. And it says, an inexperience familiar to many human drinkers, the chimps become tipsy, bordering on intoxication, and need to go to sleep straight afterwards.
Yeah.
The recordings...
Well, where are they finding this booze, though?
I've just told you. Fermented sap from the palm trees.
So they know when it's going to get them intoxicated. I mean, or do they drink it by accident?
No.
What do you mean no?
They the first time they tasted it or drunk it, it's a bit like when the Red Indians or the Native Americans we call them, when the Native Americans first fought the striped legs, that was the US cavalry.
Yeah.
That's what we call them.
Is that right? Yeah.
Historians.
Time, by the way.
Hang on.
We have time for another story.
No. What the striped legs, the US cavalry, did to sort of get rid of the Indians was give them a load of firewater. Yeah. And the Indians didn't know what it was, but it's whiskey, obviously. Right. And so after that, they all became addicted to whiskey, and that's basically how the US cavalry...
How the West was won.
That's how the West was won. Yeah. They made sure that they gave...
So what you're saying is these scientists are saying that the chimps know precisely what they're looking for, precisely what they're drinking.
They do. They are now addicted to the fermented sap, which in effect is alcohol. Right. It's a bit like, like in prison, what the prisoners do is... They get a load of potatoes, they stick them in a Tupperware box, put a load of sugar in, bit of water, and a few other things, and all of a sudden they've got potato wine, very, very strong.
Really?
Well, poutine, that's right. Yeah. They've got poutine. And so basically it's that effect that the monkeys are enjoying.
Are you sure they do that in prison?
Yeah, of course they sure they do in prison. Why?
Well, I don't think they do. Of
course they do. No. Don't you think there's a massive...
Century.
Don't you think there's a massive hooch industry in prison, inside prisons?
No, I don't think there is, no.
Of course there is, you idiot.
They just get regular booze.
No, they don't get regular booze. No, they don't. They don't. They ferment it all themselves. Right. And some of it is so strong, it's lethal.
Too many films.
No. Some of it's so strong, it's lethal. And
that's why there's all these people dying from it then that we don't hear about.
There have been cases of prisoners who have drunk themselves blind inside prison.
Since when?
Well, it's happened.
When was the last one?
Look, I can't be specific on it.
No,
I can't be specific.
Anyway, look, you're running out of time. Look into the light for a moment.
In that case, move on.
See if you can come up with some evidence to back up these ludicrous ideas. He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham. Coming up, we're going to talk to Stephen Caldwell about John Carver and Newcastle and many other things. This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport on DAB, digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport Extra Time with the two mics. There will be porkyvision coming up a little bit later on. Be Champions has tweeted. He says, just in, Monkey Island members-only club opens in Wetherspoons, Gosport. You can imagine that that might be the case with that revelation you were telling us about.
I mean, why on earth do you have to belittle these things? These are scientific stories.
It's a tweet that we've got in from somebody.
I haven't invented the fact that monkeys are going around getting intoxicated because they're drinking sap from palm trees in West Africa. Right. It's happening. It's something the scientific world is aware of. And yet,
there's a good picture there that Becky from New Zealand has sent in of a chimp drinking out of a bottle of beer. It says, Porky's right, chimps have taken to the demon booze. Hopefully they don't cook after drinking.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Newcastle United because Stephen Caldwell's former Newcastle player. He worked with John Carver when he was in the youth team. Right. And he can maybe give us, shed some light perhaps on what he thinks has happened in the last sort of 24 hours. Stephen, very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed for joining us. We've just been talking about Steve McLaren, who some Newcastle fans seem a bit underwhelmed by his appointment, but very strange kind of things are happening, it seems to us. As McLaren's moved onto the board, even though he says he's only going to be involved in being a coach. We've got Mike Ashley supposedly moving off the board, but we're not sure if he's still in charge. They then had a press conference where they banned everybody apart from what they called media partners, and it's all still a bit bizarre up there, isn't it, Stephen?
Yeah, it's a bit of a pantomime going on up there still, and it's really disappointing because it's a hotbed for football and a club that is very close to my heart and with a passionate fan base. and it's disappointing that it still seems to be going on, all this sort of hoopla about different things. But I was very surprised to hear that Steve McLaren has joined the board. It's a strange one to have a head coach on a board. So I don't know how that's going to work. But his appointment, he's a quality coach, and I'm sure that he'll be looking forward to getting in there and taking the helm at what is a massive football club.
Yeah, Steve, I think the problem Newcastle have got is this. We've said in the past that successful businessmen who make millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, even billions, get hold of a football club and all of a sudden their brains go to scrambled egg because they simply don't understand the business of football, OK? It's happened a number of times in the past. People like Lord Sugar found football a great challenge, but he made it successfully. But lots of other rich businessmen haven't. I would say, I'd put this to you, Steve, that Mr. Ashley, who is a brilliant businessman, he made himself a billionaire from a standing start, is so incapable of grasping the business of football that actually nobody knows where it's all going to end with Newcastle because he's not even aware of the fact that he's made mistakes in the past. He's had the club relegated. It's come back into the Premier League. It nearly got relegated again. I mean, this man, for all his genius in being able to make his billions, simply can't grasp the business of football.
I agree with you, Mike. I think the interesting thing there is that the business of football is very difficult. I think that football clubs generally lose money. And these successful businessmen feel that they can come in and they can have a football club that they can churn out this profit, and really in reality, unless you're 2 or 3 clubs in the entire world, that's impossible. You have to have a passion for it, a love for that club, and you have to keep ploughing your money into it to keep achieving success. And as we know, in the last 5 or 6 years, Newcastle have had some great teams, some fantastic seasons, and then they've sold their best players. They've not taken that money, the profit that they made on their players, and put it right back in the team. They've kept the profit or pocketed it and tried to go out and get a replacement that obviously costs less and doesn't have the same quality. And I hope now that they give this coach, Steve McLaren, a bit of money, a bit of back-in. They obviously have areas they need to strengthen, and they allow them to go out and do that. And like I said before, there's no doubt that Steve McLaren is a quality coach. And if they give him a little bit of money and the right guys in, then I'm sure that he can amass a good squad and a successful team.
Yeah, I'm not even sure Steve McLaren is a good coach. I mean, he did a good job at Twente in Holland, but he struggled as England manager. But let me put this to you, Steve, right? This is the ambition of Newcastle. Since 2006, right, when they got to the quarter-final of the FA Cup, Newcastle United have never got past the 4th round of the FA Cup. Now, the FA Cup should be a major target for a club like Newcastle. If they're not prepared to spend to challenge for a top 4 place, then they should be ambitious to get to Wembley, to give the fans a day out. They haven't even got past the 3rd round of the League Cup since 2007-8 until the season just gone. I mean, shouldn't they be going after those silverware pots that are available to them?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that the League Cup and the FA Cup are 2 fantastic chances for clubs like Newcastle and Sunderland, and obviously Aston Villa got there this year. And the sort of mid-range clubs that kind of flirt with relegation but have pretty much been the mainstay of the Premier League since it began a number of years ago. I think they should be targeting that opportunity to win the Cup. And as I know only too well through my brother, Wigan Athletic, a team that was a lowly team, they're now in League One. They managed to win the FA Cup a couple of seasons back. So it's a great opportunity for success for the fans, and I do think Newcastle should put a higher importance on that, the Cup, both Cups, especially the FA Cup, and try and play the best team in every round to get to the latter stages of the tournament.
Right. And what about John Carver? Because some people might say, well, he didn't perform particularly well when he was handed the kind of reins of power for 20 games this season, where he just won 3 matches. But I mean, it seems as though one of Steve McLaren's conditions of coming to the club was to sweep away John Carver and Steve Stone, 2 guys that have been sort of associated with Newcastle for a very long time. Seems a shame that they couldn't find him something to do, doesn't it? Yeah,
it was disappointing. I've known John a number of years, and I'm obviously disappointed from him in the way that things went. He totally loves that football club, and he had a tough run there, and he had really hard conditions to do well in. So it's very disappointing. But sometimes when a new manager comes in, they just like a clean slate. They want their own guys in. your sort of memory of the negative past and the bad results to be gone. And obviously the most high-profile guy for that is the coach that was there before and his staff, and it seems to have happened for them. And I'm sure they're quality guys. I'm sure that they'll take a little break and they'll get back in football pretty quickly.
I mean, you've worked for a lot of different football organisations, Stephen. I mean, have you ever been anywhere where the sort of the finance guy, the chairman of the board, leave and they put the scout on the board and they put the manager on the board? I mean, presumably, if the board needs to make a decision about whether they've got confidence in the manager or the coach or whatever he's called, then he's going to get it, isn't he?
Yeah, it's very strange. I didn't even know that until I heard you guys say it before I came on air. It's a strange situation to have the manager on a board. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how that dynamic can even work in English football. But he's there. He's obviously one of the conditions that he needed to come to the football club, and they've granted him it, and we'll see how that works. And I know you guys are sceptical about Steve McLaren, but I do think that he is a good coach, that he can be successful. He has been in the past, and like I say, if he gets the right players there, then I think that he can organise them in the right way, and they can hopefully fight for one of the cups, or at least be pushing for that sort of last Europa spot.
You'd think so as well. And Steve, another point here is, when you played for Newcastle, you realised the close bond between the fans in that magnificent stadium, 52,000 of them, and the players. There's got to be some sort of bond because they give their lives to the club.
Is it not 56,000?
No, it's 52.
Are you sure?
It's 52.
Okay.
Would you please
52.
not interrupt me when I'm speaking to Steve Caldwell, who's got a lot more knowledge about Newcastle than you fathead. No, what I was going to say was, Steve, so how do you react to the idea that massive restrictions have been put on Steve McLaren's ability to communicate with the fans because he can only talk to one certain newspaper group, the club's own website, and one TV station? That, to me, is outrageous. He's not even allowed to speak to the local newspapers, the Evening Chronicle and the Journal. How insulting is that to the fans?
I think it's absolutely disgusting, Mike. In any market, it's disgusting, but especially in the North East. I know how important that football is to that area. I've been lucky enough to play for two of the three big clubs in that area, and I know how important it is. And to ban the media is a dictatorship. It's really petty. They're obviously disappointed with the way things have been reported, but in all honesty, I think that the local media are closest to the action and the news, and they know what's going on, and they just try to give their opinion and the facts over to the supporters who buy and read that paper every single day. So to ban them from the stadium and from the press conference is disgusting.
I totally agree.
Absolutely shocking. Stephen, just before we let you go, how's it going with Toronto at the moment? What's happening?
It's going great, guys. I'm unfortunately had an Achilles injury for a number of weeks, so I'm just starting to get back in the pitch and running, but we're doing very well as a club. We've won 5 of the last 6 games, and we're really flying. Our little Italian Giovinco is a real gem. Should try and get to watch a game or two.
Yeah, we'll try and do that. Brilliant. Thanks very much indeed for
thank
taking
you very
the
much
time
indeed,
to
Steve.
talk to us, Stephen.
Yeah.
You don't have to be so rude in front of the guests.
Well, you don't have to be so interruptive to me when I'm trying to get a flow of information from Steve Caldwell, who's our guest on the show. Yeah. What right have you got to
I just wanted to double-check something. There's no need to be so rude about it.
Well, you didn't have to double-check it then. And by the way, you were double-checking a fact that I got right and you got wrong.
Yeah, I thought it was 56,000. It's actually 52,405.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah,
so it's not technically 52,000.
You know, your thick-headed incursions, mate, into my interviewing technique, which you're jealous of, by the way.
I'm not.
Which you're jealous of, and you try to corrupt my approach all the time.
Right.
By the way, something else I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
When I worked in Newcastle, which of course I did on the Evening Chronicle.
Yes, of course. How long were you there?
I was there about 18 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, there was a lad there called John Gibson. He was the chief football writer. Who is
I'm sure you have to mention his name.
Yeah, I mentioned John's name because I'm in awe of him. He is still a legend in North East reporting terms. And when you got off the train at Newcastle Central Station, there was a huge banner, I mean huge, over the exit to the station. Yeah. And it showed all the Newcastle players lined up in their black and white striped shirts. And at the end of it was John Gibson. And the sign used to say, "Follow Newcastle United and John Gibson in the Evening Chronicle." Yeah. I mean, it didn't speak the advert, but I'm just interpreting what it said.
Of course.
Those are the words of what it said, okay? And the point
was that big of a name, was he?
Oh, he's that big a name.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, on the paper, because I worked in the same newsroom as him, you know, the news desk was here, the sports desk was over there. Right. Every morning, John Gibson had to go up to Newcastle's ground, you know, Gallagate or St James's Park, whichever they call it, and he had to find a story by 11 o'clock every morning to lead the back page of the paper. Yeah. That's an incredible pressure, but he did it every day. Yeah. And the Newcastle public, because, of course, the media was very much more restricted in those days.
Yeah, there was no social media there, was there?
The evening newspaper was the line of communication between the club and the people.
Yeah, of course.
And every morning it came to the story, and that kept the people of Newcastle fully informed what was going on at the club. Right. Do you remember...
and now that's not the case, really, is it? That's the problem.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But now if they ban the local paper from even doing that, they are basically cutting off a massive line of information between the club and the public, and it's outrageous.
It is, absolutely extraordinary. Yeah. Now, I've got some other news for you, which I'm going to tell you very shortly. A couple of interesting tweets that have come in as well. You can tweet us at the two Mikes, at Mike Parry, at IROMG. He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham. This is TalkSport. Tomorrow night, of course, is on Colombo. So the independent quiz masters are busy working up a quiz on Colombo. It's not going to be easy for him, to find 10 questions about one television show with one character in it. We'll see how well they do.
It ran for 12 years. Yeah. There were over, in my knowledge, well, this is going to be part of the show.
Yeah, it might well be.
Over 360 episodes.
Were there?
Yeah, so you shouldn't have a problem.
Well, we'll see. I mean, nothing to do with me.
Peter Falk was one of the most famous actors in the world.
He was indeed.
How many eyes did Peter Falk have?
How many eyes?
Yeah.
He had 2 eyes.
No, he had 1.
What do you mean he had 1 eye?
He had a glass eye.
Yeah, but he had 2 eyes, though, didn't he?
No, he only had 1 eye. It's like Gordon Brown, he only had 1 eye. Yeah. Do you remember once when I worked on the Daily Express, we had a one-eyed reporter there, Peter Hardy. No, Peter Hardy. No. He was. Peter was a good chap.
He was a great skier.
Sorry?
He was a great skier, wasn't he?
I was going to say, when, these guys reach a certain plateau in their journalist career, and suddenly they become useless to Fleet Street, they go off and do other things. Yeah. And he was a great skier.
He became a sort of big skiing PR. He wrote books about skiing. In fact, he had me write something for him about one of his books about skiing.
Did he? Yeah, that's amazing, And he did. And he started taking all these skiing groups to Austria and Switzerland. You're absolutely right. And he made a good living out of it. But the point of my story is, in his early career, after he finished at Oxford University, he went off for a gap year into South America. Yeah. And coming back from South America, coming up, and he decided to go to the west coast of America, California, because it was flower power and all that, right? He met a bunch of hippies on the road who'd just left San Francisco, were coming down, and he was going up. And they said, "Oh, go and see our friend. She's a would-be singer or something. Right. This is her address in
I think you've told me this story before. And it turned out to be Janis
Joplin. That's right. And he went out with her for a year.
I thought you were going to tell me that was how he lost his eye.
No, it wasn't how he lost his eye. He lost his eye in a rugby accident or something.
Right, when he was a kid.
But anyway, the point of my story is, he arrives at the Express, right? And he, I shouldn't be laughing, really. He worked there for a number of years, and then another lad joined us.
You're not going to give his name, are you?
Well, I could, but he's still working in Fleet Street.
Yeah, well, don't give his name out then.
And he's a great mate of mine from the Merseyside area. Oh, yeah. And he only had 1 eye. And the news editor, his name is John Jinks, because he was over here. He came back from lunch one time, and he said... And so the new reporter with 1 eye arrived to meet to meet all the rest of the reporters, and John Jinks said, and he thought he was being factual rather than humorous. He said, Peter, this is David. That was the guy's name, the other 1 eye guy.
Don't say his name.
And he said, you better stand here and shake hands with him, because he's only got 1 eye as well. You won't be able to see each other. It's such a ridiculous,
unbelievable,
such a ridiculous comment.
Horrific. But, now, let me read you. No, I don't know what you're going on about that for. Because I've got a couple of tweets here for you. Zobon, on the subject of your car, says, I think Porky bought a car with the old engine from his old car he sold to that guy in the dark that broke down 2 minutes later. And then Frazzle has answered that and said, and now the mug, as he was known, is head honcho at the Merc dealership in Epsom, looking forward to exacting years of revenge. So that's probably what's going to go on.
What's this? What are you talking about?
Your car. The guy that you sold the Vauxhall Viva to.
I see.
Imagine that scenario in a movie where he then becomes the head of the Merc dealership in Epsom.
He'll be dead
when you take your car into him, he's now just going to exact years of revenge on you for selling him a dud.
He'll be dead. You've got to remember, he had a worthless life, and when people have worthless lives, they have no, no commitment or no inspiration to keep going. Right. So I would imagine that he's maybe not around now. Although if he is, I wish him a happy life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Why did we get a tweet suddenly mentioning a fellow broadcaster? What was that about?
Well, I mean, because of one of the combinations of strange situations that have happened over time, right? Yeah. You occasionally appear on a Jeremy Vine show on another radio station, which we won't name. And I don't know why you keep appearing on it, because we've so far had you appearing on there as a badger expert. Yes. We've had you appearing as an obesity expert.
Yeah, I am.
And basically, one of our sort of followers on the two mics sent Jeremy Vine a tweet today, a little bit earlier, in which he was kind of explaining a conversation that must have taken place on a regular basis inside that particular radio station. And basically, here's what he said. He said, this is what he understands the conversation to be. There's no experts available for whatever we're discussing next. And then the next person says, it's okay, just phone Mike Parry.
Oh, that's good,
and get him on.
That's great.
Because, I mean, obviously, when they can't find anybody else, that's when they ring you. But Jeremy Vine's actually favourited the tweet.
Oh, that's very nice, Jeremy. Yeah. Thank you very much
he obviously
indeed,
sees the funny side.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Which tells me that the reason they get you on there is not because you're an expert on UKIP or on badgers or on obesity, but just because they like the way you sound.
Well, that's because I talk with knowledge and purpose.
Right.
I mean, as Steve McLaren said about Mike Ashley, vigour, purpose, direction, all that kind of stuff, There's a great one here from Roy Dickinson, and he says, hi, guys.
Why does he give his full name?
Well, because that's, it's his name on his tweet. All right, Roy will do. And he's basically saying, great to learn about the human-like qualities of chimps on the Blash. Are they part of old Porky Parry's bladderation nation?
Yeah.
And I think the answer to that is yes, they certainly are. And he says, classic radio. Thank you very much indeed, Roy. Always good to have you listening.
Do you know what we're going to be talking about coming up in a little while, actually? It's a fantastic story from Alaska, which is on the subject of strange kind of animal happenings. Did you see that story today about how these weird, scary-looking eels and sort of strange-looking things called lampreys fish, I think, were just falling out of the sky?
Yeah.
Nobody can really explain why it's happened.
Well, I know why that happens.
How do you know?
Well, I know these things.
How do you know how it happened?
I know exactly what happens.
Nobody can explain how it's happened.
I can explain how it happens.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
Well, we're going to talk to a guy who's actually there, who won't be able to explain.
I'll tell you before he comes on. I can save you the problem.
All right, go on.
It's a typhoon situation.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. The typhoon comes down, it whips up the eels from the sea.
You're talking about a water spout, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. And then it spins it inland.
Well, that's fine.
I mean, we all know that. We all know that.
It's a very good explanation, except there hasn't been one.
Yes, well, I'm sorry, there has been one, but it was invisible. Nobody saw it.
An invisible water typhoon spout.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So when do we know when they're going on?
It probably happened at night, and people couldn't see it. That's probably the answer. Seriously, that's the answer.
We'll be talking to a guy from Fairbanks, Alaska.
That's a great place.
And have you been there?
No, I've never been to Alaska.
How do you know it's a great place?
Well, I've seen all the documentaries on Alaska, the frozen state, a two-part documentary recently, and I always fancied Alaska. That is where I learnt all my knowledge about how you protect yourself against grizzly bears.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because that's what happens in Alaska.
That was very helpful, yeah.
Yeah, it was very helpful indeed. But what a vast wilderness it is. The Yukon's
sure it was only a two-part series?
Yeah, two-part, yeah.
Because you were talking about the Armada show last week in porkyvision,
yes.
and apparently you said it was a one-off. It was a three-part series.
Yeah, but the only important episode of the three was the one I told you about.
Okay. What are you doing on porkyvision tonight? Do you want to give us a flavour of it for later?
Syndicate.
The Syndicate. Some people have said that's worth reviewing.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant.
Well, don't tell us now. Don't tell us now. It's just supposed to be a tease.
Yeah, and I'll be touching on ludicrous plots in Coronation Street.
Okay.
And also Minder.
Minder? Well, they remade Minder or something.
No. But what really upsets me about Minder is that they continued making it, this is 30 years ago, even when Terry McCann, who was in fact Dennis Waterman, was no longer available to be Minder, so they got some other guy in.
Right.
And it ruined the whole thing forever.
Yeah.
Ruined it in my head, ruined the mystery of it. Hey, guess what as well? We talk about old TV programmes, and I have
Well, you do.
We have a particular affinity for. I have a particular affinity for Z cars.
Yes.
Not only because
obviously because it's the tune that Everton run out to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know some chap, some very very nice man who I'm going to write back to because I should have written back to him a couple of weeks ago when it arrived. Sent me a parcel with the only ever published Z Cars annual.
Really?
Yeah. From about 1963.
I don't think you like getting parcels from strange people out there.
Well, as long as they don't contain sort of food and stuff, I don't mind at all.
Oh, okay.
And it's very nice of him, and he's very, very kind.
Did you send it to you here?
Sorry?
Did you send it to you here?
I don't know. I don't know where it came from.
You don't know?
Well, it's just sort of turned up.
Where did you get it? You turned up at your house? What?
Yeah, I found it in my house.
You found it in your house?
Yeah, I did, yeah. So maybe my cleaning lady took it in. No, he couldn't send it to my house because nobody knows where I live.
Well, apparently maybe they do.
No, I don't think they do, no. So I must have taken it home from here or something and forgotten about it or whatever. But anyway, look, I opened it up.
Because I don't remember you showing it me here, that's my point.
What?
I don't remember you showing it to me here.
No, right, OK. Well, maybe I didn't open it until I got home. That must have been the answer. You get a lot of parcels. You sometimes open
maybe it's from the lady across the hall.
No, it wasn't. No. But it, honestly, it was wonderful. But anyway, look, we were talking about that.
What was it? Was it full of facts about Z cars?
Full of stories about Z cars.
Right.
It was great. Yeah, it's absolutely marvellous.
What age 10?
Sorry?
What do you mean? What age are you, 10?
No, but, I mean, I've got loads of old annuals. I've got Shoot annuals from 1975.
Right.
I've got Roy of the Rovers annuals.
Have you?
I've even got some Boys' Own annuals, going back.
Really?
Yeah.
And what's in those?
Well, it's nostalgia. We like nostalgia.
Well,
we
like
like things. Sorry?
Well, like what?
What do you mean, like
Well,
what?
what's in it? I mean, if I opened up the Boys' Own annual from 1958 or something, what's in it?
It shows you how to tie a knot, and why are you laughing?
Well, why would you keep that?
Well, because you do, because it reminds you of your childhood and your boyhood and all that kind of stuff,
Why were you? I want to be reminded of my childhood.
I'll tell you what's in one of them. I've got an old Eagle annual, right? You remember the Eagle?
Yeah.
And do you know what? There's this great trick in it.
comic?
There's this great trick in it that I tried when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. What happens is, your parents say, right, it's time for bed and all that, school tomorrow.
Yeah.
But you want to keep reading, because
Yeah.
I was probably reading my sort of famous 5 books or something like
Probably,
that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
Because you were really good at that quiz.
yeah, that's right, yeah.
You got 2 out of 10.
Now, I worked out even as a kid, that to read under the bed covers with a torch, back for your eyes, I worked that out. So I decided, and I read this thing in Eagle, which was brilliant. And what happens is, you actually have a light by your bedside.
Yeah.
And
A bedside light.
A bedside light.
Yeah.
But it's powered by a battery.
Yeah.
Powered by a battery, right? And, I mean, I wasn't very good at science, so I had to follow it meticulously how to put it all together.
Right.
So I got a box, put a battery in it, and then I put a light socket in with a light and a bulb.
Yeah.
And then what you do is you put the wire around the door frame,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
And
It's a long wire.
It's a long wire. It's a long wire. You put the wire around the door frame, and you have a metal connection on the door frame. no, here, this is brilliant.
And then you set fire to the house.
No. You have a metal connection on the door frame, right?
Yeah.
And guess what happens?
Yeah,
if your mum and dad think you're reading in bed and they see the light under the door, they burst into your bedroom, but the minute they burst in and the metal connection on the door is disconnected from the wire, the light goes out. It's magic.
They're ridiculous.
No, honestly.
They don't trip over the wire.
And no, the wire's connected around the door frame. Right. So it meant that the minute the door was open, the connection,
I've seen the time, by
the circular connection, which powered the bulb next to your bed, and the light went out. It's brilliant. Brilliant.
Look into the dark.
Yeah.
Astonishing. Have you noticed something odd in here, by the way?
The clock.
Yeah, the clock's telling the wrong time.
The clock is an hour.
It's gone backwards.
Behind. Now, can I tell you, I went outside.
We haven't suddenly got into, like, daylight savings time or something.
Well, no, but I just wonder whether we're in some sort of a time warp.
Oh, yeah.
Here in the Talksport Towers.
Yeah.
Are we caught in a time warp?
Well, like the last hour didn't actually happen.
Well, I went outside and you said the clocks are wrong, and I thought, well, they must all be programmed by the same central system.
Yeah.
And I went outside, and the clock outside, which was a digital clock, said 2 o'clock when we came out.
Right.
But when we came back in, it said 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Time is going backwards.
That is quite freaky, isn't it?
Listen, can I tell you something? Oh, yeah, it is. It's out there.
Strange.
It's out there. Listen, I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
It's a chap called James who sent in a very, very helpful tweet.
Oh, yeah.
Which is going to put you on the spot.
Is it?
And James has launched an investigation.
Oh, yeah.
He says the reason that you win in the winners and losers every week, and the reason you gerrymander it, he's got evidence that you set up over 200 new Twitter accounts.
Has he?
Last Monday night.
Really?
And voted for yourself on each one.
Really?
What do you plead?
Absolute rubbish.
I'm not sure.
Absolute rubbish.
Well, he wouldn't have just made it up, would he?
Well, of course he would.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, he's just made it up.
No, he hasn't.
Trust me.
No, he hasn't.
First of all,
this explains an awful lot to me.
Absolutely not. I get about 150 extra followers per week, right? Which is tracked by Twitter. Something
you're
like
so
that.
popular.
Yeah, well, it's not. See how that upsets you, doesn't it?
What?
That upsets you because you've kind of plateaued, haven't you, with your unverified account?
No.
I mean, you're the one that's got all the followers that nobody can check because that's why you haven't got a blue tick.
I'm sorting that tomorrow morning.
Oh, are you?
I'm meeting an expert from the telecommunications business. What are you laughing at?
I hope they know how to fix the clocks before they start fixing your Twitter account.
Exactly. Now, listen, I want to explain to the Newcastle fans about the way that things work in our business.
Yes,
right?
go on.
So the only group of papers we'll let in are the Mirror Group, OK?
Yeah.
So if we look at the back of the Mirror and see how they handle the Newcastle story,
yes.
OK? It says, Steve McLaren has vowed to breathe new life into Newcastle and made a winning trophy his number one priority. And there's a picture of him standing in front of the sign, "Away the lads."
Yeah.
And the headline says, "Time to dream again." And it says, "McLaren vow.
Yeah.
I agree with the owner. It's top 8 and a trophy."
Yeah.
So that is all very, very positive.
It is very positive.
Because they were allowed in.
Yeah,
Right?
right. OK.
Now, the Sun newspaper...
who weren't allowed in.
Was not allowed in.
Right.
So they say... Fans fury at broken promises. It's another time bomb. Newcastle fans were left furious with their club again after Steve McLaren's unveiling descended into farce. They then say, here is the Steve McLaren charge sheet. Age 54, football coach. His work experience, Derby County, sacked. FC Twente, quit before he was sacked. Nottingham Forest quit before he was sacked. Wolfsburg sacked. England sacked. So I think you'll find that the idea
of backfired on them.
Banning newspapers from access to clubs is only going to leave Newcastle United with a massive, massive anti-Newcastle feeling in the nation's newspapers.
And just to continue,
so that's a really smart move.
And it's a very interesting point you make. Because to continue your theme, Newcastle fastest McLaren is not allowed to talk about appointment. And this is an independent. They talk about how they were left waiting outside the stadium for 3 hours when he snuck out a back exit, refused to talk to them. And of course, on the Sun, just further on that, they don't even make it a big story on the back page.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You have to go inside to find it. Same with the Express, who just do a little panel down the side. McLaren PR gaff.
Yes, that's right.
Back page of the Times, nothing at all to do with McLaren. Front page of the Telegraph Sport, nothing to do with McLaren. And the same on the back of the Daily Mail, nothing to do with McLaren.
Oh, absolutely.
So it has backfired on
it completely backfired. And I have to say that the guy who runs the PR outfit at Newcastle United, he'll win the PR Chump of the Year.
Yeah, Raspberry Award.
Oh, yeah. It's the most ridiculous policy I've ever come across in my life. And look, we're not being self-indulgent here and talking about ourselves. We're talking about the ability for a club to communicate with its fans and how they do it. I mean, it is just utterly ridiculous.
Well, no, because the bottom line is, as I said, fans might think, the media cause trouble. Fans might think the media are, in some ways harming their club. But at the end of the day, the less sort of access that the media gets to the club, the less the club gives out information. And the more information they keep to themselves, the less the fans know.
It's not just that. If you can get close to a club and close to a manager, you have a natural empathy and sympathy for what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's not that you're being sort of bribed into liking them, but you understand what they're trying to do because you get close to them. If you're not allowed to get close to them, you just assume they're a bunch of idiots because nothing's happening and nothing's working, and that's the way it'll come out.
And they never tell you anything anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, you never really covered football clubs as such, did you, as a young reporter? Because you was on the news side. I mean, you didn't have to sort of wheedle in and out.
Oh, no. At the Chester Chronicle, mate, I was the deputy sports editor.
Right, yeah. Was this to the guy who used to go home for his sandwiches?
Yes, that's right. Yes, David.
Don't give his name out. You don't have to give his name out.
But anyway, he used to go home every day in his Ford Escort and have his lunch with his wife to his semi-detached suburban bungalow, and then he used to come back in the afternoon, do 3 hours work, filling in the fishing results, and then go home again.
Fishing results?
Yeah, the fishing results, yeah. In fact, there's a very famous picture I can show you of Mike Parry, Deputy Sports Editor, Chester Chronicle, presenting the Chester Chronicle Cheshire Angling League prizes at their annual dinner.
Why were you presenting them instead of him?
Oh, he was on holiday or something like that.
Oh, right. You arranged it like that.
No, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't significant enough for him. But I mean, when he was on holiday once, I went and covered a couple of Chester games, and we went away to somewhere like I think it was Mansfield, and you had to get a train from Chester to Birmingham, then Birmingham to Mansfield. Right. Now, the thing is, Chester FC had just sold their training pitch next door to the ground to a supermarket or retail outfit, you know what I mean? Right. So they had loads of money for the first time in their life. And I think they just sold Ian Rush as well to Liverpool for 300,000. So they had tons and tons of money. Previously when they'd all sort of travelled in cattle class and all that, they were all travelling in business class. It was unbelievable. Yeah. And we travelled in these trains, and I went with them. And do you know what? In those days, the old trains used to have a luggage wagon. What was it called?
Yeah, goods train.
A goods train, that's right, a goods train, yeah.
Where you put your bike.
And it had little cages with parcels in and all that kind of stuff. And as I walked through the train to go to the loo, I had to go through the goods wagon, and there were like blokes sitting in there on the luggage, and I said hello, and then I saw a load of kit bags and all that, and do you know who it was? Shrewsbury Football Club. Right. They were broke, and they were on the same train going back in the same direction as us. They were travelling in the goods wagon. Yeah, that's all they could afford.
Dear me.
So it was interesting. But I was top shot reporter, and of course, I moved very, very quickly to a bigger newspaper.
Yeah, of course you did. Now let me ask you about this story that's on all the front pages this morning.
Right.
About this British student who has been facing jail over in Malaysia because they're accusing her of causing a deadly earthquake. Over there in that part of the world, because she and a bunch of other people stripped off and took pictures of themselves on sort of dancing on the lip of the volcano, as it were, up a mountain. And apparently, following that, there was the gods were angered, according to the lawsuit that's been filed against her, and she could go to jail. It's a really weird story.
Well, it's supposed to be a sacred mountain.
Yeah,
sacred mountain. It's in the middle of Malaysia. Isn't it?
I think so.
And what did it say? Tribal chiefs who claim a British backpacker angered the gods by stripping on a mountain wanted to provide 10 buffalo for sacrifice. Yeah. Or she spent 3 months in jail.
I know. It's
Where's she going to get
story.
10 buffalo from?
Well, 10 buffalo heads, apparently.
Eh?
10 buffalo heads,
What
apparently.
do you do with a buffalo head?
Well, I don't know what you do with a buffalo's head, but that's what she has to provide them with.
Buffalo provide milk, and you can kill buffalo and eat them. What do you do with a buffalo head?
Well, I don't know.
Stick it on your wall and say, I shot that one in Zimbabwe.
Well, maybe it's some kind of special kind of offering up to the gods, because they're saying it was the gods that were angered because of this stripping scenario, and that's why there was an earthquake.
Wow, this was at 13,435 feet at the top of the volcano.
Yeah.
Happened 2 weeks ago, sparked outrage. Tribal elders claim it unleashed the fury of the gods with an earthquake last Friday, which, hang on, this is getting quite serious.
Yeah.
The earthquake killed 18 people.
Exactly, yeah.
On the mountain.
Yeah, but how are you going to prove
gracious.
that by taking your clothes off, you didn't cause an earthquake in any kind of court of law?
Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter. This is the local beliefs. And listen, I believe very much in when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do.
Yeah.
And this young lady, right, who incidentally went to a public school and is a graduate from some university somewhere, there's a picture of her with a mortarboard on, she should have known better than to insult and berate the local people. You wouldn't get me doing that. I have respect and accord to the customs of local people when I go to local places.
Well, it's a very unfortunate position she finds herself in. I've got great sympathy for her. And
I haven't got any sympathy for her.
I'm surprised you haven't got any sympathy for her. It's a dreadful thing
I think
to say.
To be so dismissively disrespectful to local people, I'm sorry, but she put herself in a position that she's got to pay for it.
All right, well, I'm surprised you haven't got any sympathy for her, but never mind. We're going to talk about FIFA coming up because Mark Donaldson's going to join us from ESPN in America. He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham. This is TalkSport. TalkSport Extra Time with the two Mikes. He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. We're talking an awful lot about Newcastle so far on the show, but there's been a lot of other big sports stories that have developed over the last 24 hours, Mr. Parry, that we have to talk about. One of them is the latest that's going on with FIFA, and we're going to go over to the United States now and catch up with Mark Donaldson from ESPN. Mark, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Mr. Graham, Mr. Parry, how are you both?
Yeah, very good morning to you, Mark.
Very well indeed. I mean, the FIFA story has kind of, I wouldn't say dried up over here, but there are a couple of sort of things that developed over the last few hours, I suppose, we should talk about. Swiss police seizing IT data and computers from FIFA headquarters, supposedly from the offices of Mr. Valker and Mr. Blatter. We've then got the 2026 bidding process suspended. To be honest, I didn't realise there was a 2026 bidding process. And also, we've got Zico saying he wants the FIFA presidency. Is it still being reported as enthusiastically over there?
Yeah, I mean, the fact it keeps rumbling on. We got a show over here called Last Week Tonight with an Englishman by the name of John Oliver, and it's on HBO, and I don't know if it's on in the UK, I would think it was, but if it's not, he has had a right go at FIFA and the sponsorships, and he's tried to get them to pull out. So basically what he found out this week was that Jack Warner, I'm sure you saw the footage of the mumbling idiot that he is, saying ridiculous things last week. Well, he had bought time on a Trinidad TV station. So John Oliver made inquiries, and he's like, you know what? I can do exactly the same. So he bought time, 4 minutes of advertising time on a Trinidad TV station that went out a couple of nights ago, basically saying Jack Warner's an idiot and that he should hand over all the notes that he has on FIFA and basically get everyone else who is corrupt or who has done bad things. And this went out into an episode of Mike and Molly. It was the most random thing.
And did Jack Warner respond to it? Because, I mean, one of the things that people say about Warner is that he keeps threatening to do these things and he never actually does them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky enough to work with Shaka Hislop, and him and Jack, let's just say, don't get on. Right. Jack was the one that had promised the Trinidad and Tobago players at the World Cup when they faced England in 2006, all the money in the world for qualifying, and it was only last year that they actually got the money after taking him to court and had to seize his assets as well. He's a slippery customer, is Jack Warner, and if he said it was going to be dry, I'd be taking my umbrella in case of rain.
No, I totally agree. Mark, is there a danger now, after this massive explosion of publicity on the original FIFA scandal, and we're all following it for 2 or 3 days, 24 hours a day, minute by minute, is there a danger now we're all going to get FIFA weary as this story unfolds? Because it's going to unfold over years, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's a good point, Mike, as well, because there's so many kind of tangents to this story as well. This isn't black or white. This is so many shades of grey. I don't want to go down to 50 Shades of Grey, but you know what I'm talking about. There's so many, there's so many different kind of facets and strings to this particular bow. You've got to remember as well, when the first raids took place, at the same time and concurrently, the Swiss officials and authorities were doing their own thing into the bidding process as well. It's just because it affects so many different people. Over here, CONCACAF, the United States, whether it's the rat Chuck Blazer turning everyone in. You've got the new Trinidad chief exec who ended up being arrested as well. You've got the Mexicans. There's a lot to do with CONCACAF, but it affects Switzerland, obviously, with Sepp Blatter, and a lot of Europeans as well. So I think different people in different countries, I don't think they'll get bored of it as such, because for now, there's certainly of interest to every individual country. You guys have got your own, whether it's David Gill and saying initially he didn't want to be part of the EXCO committee. Now he's saying, okay, he's probably still going to be a vice president. So every little country has their own kind of angle in this one. And that's, for me, which makes it so fascinating for now.
And what about this 2026 bidding process? Because, as I say, I mean, you and I have spoken about this before, and there was a sort of tacit agreement, for some people anyway, that the United States might well host the 2026 World Cup. Jerome Valcke now says that it would be a nonsense to begin the process. I mean, where was it before he decided to suspend it?
Well, the issue that you've got now is that I think they said, 2017 that they were going to make an announcement, and that isn't going to be the case now. I think geographically you've got the South Africa in 2010, and you've got South America in 2014. In 2018 it's off to Europe and to Russia, and then 2022 it's the Middle East. So the kind of next step was going to be to take it to the Americas. But after everything that's happened, I think I would be shuffling more uncomfortably if I was the United States, if Sepp Blatter was still in the role. I think what you're going to see, instead of FIFA EXCO making the decision as to where the World Cup takes place, it's my understanding that all 209 FIFA nations will decide where the next World Cup is going to be in 2026. And I think that makes it a more open and a more honest policy. What it means for 2018 and 2022, however, remains to be seen. I don't think it's cut and dried that Russia and Qatar are going to be the two hosts, because if it's found that there has been corruption, it's going to be very difficult for them to keep it.
Mark, do you think the FIFA scandal, and that's what it is, obviously worldwide, will have an effect eventually on the importance of international football? Because I've been saying now for 2 or 3 years that when players like Lionel Messi are going to be earning £1 million a week, and I don't think that's very far off, to be honest, the way football's growth has accelerated over the last decade, will clubs then even contemplate letting their players go to play in internationals when international football is, even today, not anything like as popular as Champions League football?
The reason that's a good point is because I can correlate it with the FA Cup and the Champions League as well, because when I grew up and when you two grew up as well, FA Cup and Scottish Cup was massive. That's what it was all about.
Absolutely.
And now you're getting clubs that are resting players. Okay, in the last few years it's been a bit better, but it's basically been a competition that's of secondary importance to the Champions League. And I think exactly the same is on the international stage. Look at Daniel Sturridge in Liverpool and the games that he's missed for them after being injured on the international stage. So you'll always have this kind of chasm between the club managers and the domestic managers, and also the national team coaches as well, because how else are you going to get your best players playing if they're not going to be released? So the difficulty is as well, we all know, whether it's fans listening or whoever, we all know various individuals who have, for one reason or another, not wanted to play for their country because of who was in charge. It happened with Scotland under Bertie Vogts, and I'm sure it's happened with England as well and various other nations. So if you've got a manager that players want to play for, rather than the country itself, I think that's how you're going to get players playing for their country and wanting to represent their country, because they're not getting paid when they go away, are they?
No, they're not. And all I'm saying is that now the FIFA scandal has revealed so much corruption in the international arena, because FIFA only deal really with countries. They don't deal with clubs like UEFA do. I think people have become disillusioned with international football. They won't
international football, most international breaks at the moment are pretty awful, aren't they?
Dreadful.
I mean, the World Cup is always a great competition, and the Euros are usually quite interesting to watch.
But I think it could all boil down to the fact, I mean, FIFA only cling on to power and have expanded their power over the years by making the qualification process for all their competitions more and more detailed, allowing more and more countries in. If the day comes when the £1 million players will only be released for the competition proper itself, that will mean that what they'll do is countries in future will be graded from 1 to 32 and the top 16 will go into the competition.
it's going to be very difficult, because if you've got Lionel Messi only playing, the Copa America starts tomorrow, I think, and if you've got him only playing in the likes of the Copa America or the World Cup, that's the two that Argentina play in. It's going to give others the opportunity to play for their country, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're taking a big step down from Lionel Messi to the kind of next best. What's to say that Argentina might not qualify for the World Cup? So there's obviously that difficulty. And of course, what do we have now with UEFA? This is a case of Thursday through until Tuesday now. Remember, it used to be Saturday and Wednesday, and then it was Fridays and Tuesday. Now, from the next round of qualifying in September, you're going to have the first set of games on a Thursday, and every single night through until the Tuesday. Some would say it's saturation, others would say it gives the likes of Finland and the smaller nations an opportunity to be seen. But I think, it's like the Champions League for me. Let's get that back to a knockout. Let's get the UEFA Cup, or if it's the Europa League, let's get that back to a knockout if we're not going to do that to the Champions League. But the money men talk, and that's the problem you've got in football. It's all about cash, and it's getting a little bit ridiculous. The bubble could soon be about to burst.
Well, I'm just looking at a result from last night. Germany 1, USA 2, a friendly game that was played over in Germany, and it hasn't really got much publicity. Nobody's that excited about it. I can't imagine even in America they're getting too worked up about it, are they?
No. Well, you look at the Germans, and this is the argument I can have. They're like, we've just beaten Germany. I said, look at the German side. It's the reserve team: Zieler, Rudi, Mustafi, Rudiger, Hector, Gundogan, Schweinsteiger, Hermann Özil, Schürrle, and Götze. Look, that team would still beat Scotland, but it's not their first choice side. And sometimes you can look at it and say, the glass is always half empty. America's gone to Amsterdam and beaten the Netherlands. America's then gone to Germany, and it's beaten Germany, the world champions, in a friendly in Cologne. I'm all for the fact that means in this country that the game is going to get more publicity. It's been pretty big over here. They've certainly spoken it up and talked it up. But as you know, with the Women's World Cup right now taking place just over the border in Canada, and with America one of the favourites to do well there, that's getting all the headlines today. And Robbie Keane, by the way, who's just signed a new deal with LA Galaxy, that probably won't even be in the newspapers over here tomorrow.
No, absolutely right.
So, Mark, great to talk to you as ever. Mark Donaldson there from ESPN. All these friendly games. There's a piece I want to talk to you about on the back pages this morning as well about England and the latest kind of shambles about England's training facilities and what they're doing and how they're all now complaining that they're working too hard. And they're playing this Slovenia game coming up on Sunday afternoon. It's live on TalkSport. But with every one of these international kind of breaks now, people I think are less and less interested. We're going to talk some more about that. We've got loads more to do.
Games like Ireland and England don't do the friendly international reputation any good whatsoever.
No.
What a complete waste of time.
And money,
and who said it was a waste of a Sunday afternoon?
It was Gary Neville, wasn't it?
No, Paul Scholes.
Oh, it was Paul Scholes, that's right.
Paul Scholes, one of the greatest English midfielders since the Second World War, described the international game as a waste of a Sunday afternoon.
Shocking stuff. This is TalkSport.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. TalkSport.
You're looking querulously at me.
Yeah, I am. What is it?
It's a song by Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And what's he singing about?
He's singing about clothes.
Clothes. Good.
Change clothes.
Right. I'm good. I'm glad you told
good.
me. I'm glad you came on to that because listen, I've come across this incredible report. Now it's obvious from looking at you.
Yeah.
Most nights.
Is it?
Yeah, most nights. That you keep your clothes for years.
Yes, I tend to.
Years?
Yeah.
You've got no shame in admitting that?
No, not at all.
No?
No.
Not at all?
Why would I have any shame in saying it?
Because a new bit of information I've seen from people who are specialists in clothing say that the optimum number of times you should wear an item of clothing before you throw it away is 7.
7 times?
7.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not.
That's totally ridiculous. So you're saying if I buy a new shirt, I should only wear it 7 times?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Why?
You clearly wear your shirts more than 7 times.
No,
because you've only got about 5 shirts. You wear the same ones. Tonight you're wearing that kind of rather strange, dark, sort of lumberjacky type shirt, which is not blue and white striped like all your other shirts.
No. I've got 40 shirts.
Well, how old are they?
Well, some of them
7 weeks old?
No.
What?
Some of them may be 2 years old.
2 years old?
But I've only worn them 4 times.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Because it's all catalogued by my housekeeping lady.
Your clothes are catalogued?
Absolutely.
What, have you got like a book, have you?
No, I've got different rails in my dressing room.
Okay.
Where they all go.
In your dressing room?
Yeah, so she knows where they all are. Now, for instance, she discovered for me, just a couple of weeks ago, a new overcoat, which I've got.
Yeah, which you've never worn.
I've never worn.
And when did you buy that?
Apparently about 5 years ago.
So you're not concerned that it might be slightly out of fashion now?
No, well, they don't go out of fashion. They go in and out. Clothes go in and out of fashion all the time.
They do go in and out of fashion.
You know, flares are in, then they're out, then they're in, then they're out.
They haven't been in for a while.
Broad lapels are in, then they're out, then they're in, then they're out, and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it all goes round in circles. But the point is that women spend 60% of their annual budget on clothes.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Right, because they will not wear anything more than 7 times. That's where the source of the information came from.
I don't think that's true of all women, I'd have to say. I don't think that's true of all women.
In an insight into Britain's throwaway culture, the poll of 2,000 women found they spend £64 a month on clothes or £768 a year. However, many are left to gather dust in wardrobes without ever being worn.
Yeah.
The most common reason...
women will quite often buy an item of clothing and then actually never wear it. Because they never like the way it looks on them.
That's right. I totally agree. Yeah. And also the old...
But that sounds like what you do. You say you bought an overcoat 5 years ago and you've never worn it.
I've never worn it.
Did you forget you bought it?
No. It's because it never got cold enough.
Did you buy it in the afternoon?
No. I remember exactly where I bought it. I bought it in a Debenhams shop because it looked nice, and I thought that'll be good. And I thought what I'll need is I will need 2 overcoats this winter, right? Because I'm going to be wearing an overcoat every day. Yeah. And I thought I'd like to have a change of overcoat.
Very nice
like to go in the same one every day.
Right.
As it happened, I wore the grey overcoat that I have, which is my main coat, 3 times during the whole of winter.
Yeah, because it wasn't cold enough.
It wasn't cold enough. So I've got 2 Macs as well. Yeah. So more often I was wearing my Mac than my overcoat. Or, when
we went to Crystal Palace, you were wearing a blue overcoat, weren't you?
No.
I'm pretty sure you
were.
were.
No, that was a Mac. On the top of my suit, yes,
really?
absolutely.
I think I've still got the picture.
Now listen, talking about clothes and all that, right? I opened the Daily Telegraph today to be greeted with the spectacle of this. Look at this. It's a full-page advert of some guy called David Gandy.
Oh, yeah, you've talked about him before.
Yeah, posing in swimming shorts.
David Gandy Swimwear.
Exactly.
Well, that's his own line of swimwear for a particular shop, isn't it?
He looks like a
male model.
No, he looks...
Bizarrely, because he is a male model.
No, that is not a proper job for a man.
What do you mean it's not a proper job for a man? Is this Sid the Sexist coming out?
No.
I was going to say it's at 2:37, but the clock says 1:37.
Hanging off the stairs on the swimming pool with water dripping off him to display his
well, he's a male model.
To display his bodily figure, right? Because he thinks he's got all these rippling muscles.
Well, he has got quite a nice body, hasn't he?
New collection, David Gandy.
He has got a very admirable body, has he not?
I think he looks... What's the word I can describe him as without being offensive?
I've no idea.
I think he looks like a dope. I think he looks like a dope.
Well, would you rather see a picture of a woman in a bikini in that place?
Well,
modelling swimwear.
Well, I mean, that's part of the commercial enterprise of the fashion industry.
Is that right? So why is that not? Well, why is that not?
Because it's dopey.
Why?
Because it's dopey.
So you are, in fact, being sexist. You're saying it's all right for a woman to pose soaking wet in a bikini, but it's not okay for a man to do it.
I've never seen a woman posing in a soaking wet bikini trying to sell a bikini. Never.
Really?
Never.
Well, I think if you went back through the pages of the newspapers, you would find it quite regularly.
I don't examine women's fashion photographs because I don't buy women's clothes, if you see what I mean.
Right, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
But old David Gandy here, I mean, what's he trying to do? Look at this pose here.
He's trying to sell swimming trunks.
Yeah, but he looks... See this pose here? Yeah. Do you remember years ago in It's a Knockout, which was hosted by Huey Green? Yeah. There was a man called the Muscle Man. Yeah. And he used to do a dance with his muscles.
Opportunity Knocks?
Opportunity Knocks,
Not It's a Knockout. That was another show.
I can even remember the tune. The tune went... do, 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 do. And what he'd do is the camera would go around his body and his shoulder blades would be dancing around in his back, and then the muscles on his arms, like Popeyes, would go up and down and all that kind of stuff. Do you remember?
Vaguely.
Do you remember this guy?
I don't remember him specifically.
He's called a muscle dancer.
I've seen it done.
Yeah, he's called the muscle dancer, and then his buttocks would start sort of, flapping in and out. And all this guy is ridiculous.
Shocking.
It was quite ridiculous, but he looks like one of those sort of guys. I mean, I think he looks rather silly. I don't know why you take exception to it. I think he looks rather silly, to be honest.
I think he looks great.
I don't think he does mankind any good. Put it that way.
I mean, he's a fine figure of a man.
Or maleness.
He's a fine figure of a man. I don't think you'd argue with that.
Is he really?
What do you mean, is he? Well, I wouldn't want to put him up next to you.
Well,
I mean, I'd rather see him in a pair of swimming trunks than you in a pair of swimming trunks. I just
don't think it's a proper job for a man.
I don't find it at all offensive. I don't understand why.
I didn't say I found it offensive. I just think it's dopey. You know, I mean, maybe it's me. Maybe I think that a proper job is rolling your sleeves up, getting on with things.
Getting on with things.
Maybe being a captain of industry in an office. service, or maybe being a man who's out there in the cold digging ditches or putting up scaffolding or something, but posing around in dripping wet swimming shorts is not a proper job.
But all you're doing is exhibiting your kind of Neanderthal attitude towards, gender-specific jobs. You don't think men should be male models. You think only women should be models. You don't think men should do anything other than digging ditches. You probably don't think women. Say that. You don't think women. Do you think women should dig ditches then or not?
I could not. Listen. When I was on the pull as a younger man, I could not seriously go into the singles bar, sit down there, and then all the women who sort of would flutter around me like butterflies around a jam pot or whatever it's called. Bees, is it?
When was the last time that happened?
Oh, wasps.
When was the last time you sat down anywhere and women kind of flocked to you?
Yeah, hang on. And then when,
in a brothel. I know you've never been to a brothel. That was a very bad joke.
Exactly. I'm not getting to that smutty sort of information. And then what I'm saying is, and then a lady comes up to you and, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a male model. I stand around near swimming pools all day with dripping wet shorts. How could you possibly admit to that?
Well, I don't think...
Where is the dignity?
I don't think David Gandy has any problem admitting to it. I mean, David Beckham doesn't have any problem admitting to being a male model.
No dignity in that sort of work.
I think you're being very old-fashioned.
No, David Beckham was a male model based on his massive achievements in another business, which happened to be football.
Right.
So I can accept that. I can accept that he is a role model, and therefore we look to him. But a bloke who just suddenly decides to become a male model because he can't think of anything else to do and has never achieved anything else in life, to my mind, is a complete failure.
Well, I don't think he's a failure.
Complete failure.
I think he's a very wealthy man, and I think he's done very well for himself. Well, I thought he's the sort of guy you would normally admire.
No, I'm not.
But for some reason, you've got some strange kind of attitude towards
getting back to the clothes. Yeah. Now, I hate to have to put you on the spot here, Mike, but you have come into work some nights in what you describe as cashmere sweaters, which look as if they haven't been cleaned for about 8 years.
Not true.
I mean, no, they've got little bobbles on them. They're out of shape.
Well, they're quite...
They look like really you should be using them to wash your car.
A lot of my cashmere sweaters are quite old now, I have to say.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But they're very comfortable and they're very soft, and I quite like them.
Holes in the elbows.
They're very soft and I like them. There was a time when I would get a new one every single year, but for the last 3 or 4 years I haven't got a new one every single year.
I bet you never clean them.
No, of course I clean them. I get them dry cleaned.
Oh, yeah? You sure? Didn't look dry clean to me.
Well,
didn't look dry clean to me.
Taking advice from you on the way clothes look, is a bit like some kind of idiotic experiment gone wrong.
No.
Why would I need to take advice from you?
Well, because as I've said, I have my clothes coordinated and I have them catalogued.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what I'm wearing when I'm wearing.
Why don't you put in the catalogue that all of your clothes look absolutely horrific? Most of them don't fit you properly, and you should probably start again. I'm
not going to respond to that. This poll, right, that I've just been saying to you, guess who commissioned it?
Who commissioned it?
Bernardo's.
Bernardo's.
And the reason is because Bernardo's take cast-off clothes.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Well, lots of people have recycling clothes.
What do you do with all your ex-clothes?
My ex-clothes?
Yeah.
What do you mean ex-clothes?
Well, the clothes that you don't want to wear anymore.
I'm often accused of being a bit of a hoarder, actually, and I tend to not throw stuff out at all. I've got about half my wardrobe full of shirts that I don't wear.
Well, give them to charity shops.
And I should probably get around to doing that.
Exactly, of course you should, because that's foolish to keep them like that. Guess what I found the other day, by the way?
What did you find the other day?
When I was running through my catalogue of clothes, I found my old motorcycle jacket, which has got all sorts of hard things on the elbows and all that to stop you, breaking your arms when you fall off your bike.
Well, despite the fact that the time's not right, we've run out of it.
Weighs a ton.
Never mind that. Look into the light for a second. Yeah. We are at the 2 Bikes. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the 2 Mikes. Porkyvision's coming up in a little while. We are preparing ourselves as well for a Colombo quiz, which a lot of people have been tweeting in about, actually.
Have they?
Some people have asked if you've managed to find a sort of a Colombo-style brown Mac in the wardrobe so that you can pretend to be him.
It wasn't, Mac wasn't brown, it was a sort of grey colour.
Well, no, it was a kind of fawn,
beige,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
when you say it was a sort of fawn colour.
Yeah,
Neil
right.
says, classic sexism from Mike Parry in the 2 Mikes. Men shouldn't be models. Somehow he manages to sing in the same segment. Hilarious.
What do you mean?
Well, somehow you managed to sing in the same segment.
Sing? I didn't sing.
Did you not?
No,
I
not
thought you did.
Anyway, what's wrong with singing?
There's nothing wrong with singing.
Singing is like, rock star ambitions, not male model ambitions. If somebody had approached me when I was in my prime and said, we want you to be a male model, I'd have turned it down.
Well, if they offered you vast amounts of money, you probably wouldn't have, would you?
Well, I think I probably would. To be honest. Anyway, listen, I want to know why, at your own admission, you were out... imbibing
What do you mean at my own admission?
Well, you sent out pictures of yourself in a pub.
No, I sent out a picture of a pub because I tend to, unlike you, right? Because you don't really. One of the reasons you're not properly verified on Twitter is that you don't really interact with people. I mean, people are always complaining to me. They tweet things at you, and you never respond.
No,
right?
that's not true.
So
I respond all the time.
What I do is I tend to send out pictures of where I am, what I'm doing. Because people.
Do you really think anybody's interested?
Some people like to know what I'm doing. Yeah.
I don't think they do.
Well, I happened to be in a bar this afternoon, so I tweeted out a picture of it. Had a couple of interesting ales for sale.
You're the man who says to me, "Oh, I never go to a bar during the week," and accuse me of being in a pub every day of the week.
Well, you are in a pub every day of the week.
Actually, I was in a pub today, and something happened, and I forgot what it is.
What happened in the pub today?
I was going to tell you about it, and it's gone out of my head. I'm just trying to remember where it was.
You've got that faraway look in your eyes that you get on a Wednesday night.
Wait a minute. It was,
which pub were you in? Was it in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey?
It was indeed,
right.
Yeah.
And was it for lunch, perhaps?
It was post-lunch, actually.
It was post-lunch.
Because I've gone for a walk across the Downs,
right. So was it one of those places that you go into that you don't like to speak to the bartender in?
Well, I don't like speaking. I know what I was going to say. This is what I was going to say. This is absolutely the kernel of what I was going to say. It was for that very point. I go into this pub, right, to get a pint of shandy at the end of a sort of 3.5 mile walk, 4 mile. It wasn't very far, but, it wasn't a great day for walking.
No, it was very windy, actually.
Yeah, it was.
What on earth is the summer going to come, by the way?
I don't know. Well, I hope it never comes, because I don't like the summer.
Well, I sat outside by the river in a place that you and I have been to before.
Yes.
And it was very, very windy. There was hardly anybody outside. Yeah. And I was thinking, actually, I couldn't take my coat. It was very cold.
Yeah, exactly. It was a bit like that. Anyway, so I get in this bar, and this is a phenomenon I have never, ever been able to work out in my life. The normal bar person for that time of the day was behind the bar, but on this side of the bar were 3 people I recognised as bar persons.
Oh, yeah. People that work there?
Yeah, 2 girls and a man, sitting on this side of the bar, merrily socialising with drinks on the bar, and I just don't get it.
Was it their break time or something?
No, it was their day off.
Oh, right.
It was their day off. Why, on your day off, do you go into your place of work?
Yeah.
Is it because there's this huge sense of relief that, thank God I'm not that side of the bar?
Maybe.
I'm now enjoying myself on this side of the bar.
Maybe.
Haven't they got anywhere else to go except the place where they normally work for 40 hours a week?
Maybe if they work there, they get a break on the cost of the drinks or something like that.
No, it's not that, and I just couldn't believe it.
Or maybe one of them was working and was on a break, and the other one was his girlfriend or boyfriend or something.
No, I've seen it happen before in other pubs. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
People who are on duty behind the bar, when they're off duty, seem to revel in being on the other side of the bar. It happened to me when I was a barman in Nottingham, when I went to the University of the Trent. And I, as usual, I was the one who would always be out earning more money and had more money than anybody else. And I noticed that some of the other bar people, who were...
People that worked at the same pub.
Yeah, but they were local people who weren't students like me.
Yeah.
They were. They
must have really liked you.
No, they did like me, and I helped them improve their, their outlook in life.
Did you?
Yeah, for want of a better word. And they'd come in the evenings, and there was this silly ritual that went on where they'd say, hello, me Doc, because they're all from Nottingham. Everybody calls each other me Doc, you know.
Right.
Yeah, hello, me Doc. I said, hello, yeah. I'll have 2 pints of, what was it called? Something from some brewery in Mansfield or something, And have half yourself, Mike. Yeah. Right. So you think, that's,
It used to happen all the time. That never happens now, does it? You never buy anybody a drink now.
Have half yourself. No. But then, when they bought the next round, ridiculously, they'd say, I'll have 2 pints of,
the same stuff.
The beer from Mansfield, and just half for myself. Unless you'd like to make it up to a pint. I mean, this ludicrous sort of, I give you half a pint, he gives me half a pint. Right. It was absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, listen, talking about drink... And
but that's an interesting point, though, because, there was a time when you would always buy a drink for somebody behind the bar.
Yeah, you would, have one yourself.
I don't do it anymore.
I've never done that for years. Have one yourself, have you?
I don't think it goes on anymore.
And also... Unlike American style, you never leave money on the bar for a barman in this country, do you? It's just not done.
Well, I'll tell you why you don't do it, because I bought, and I wasn't really drinking, I had a couple of pints of beer or something like that. I had 1 pint, a glass of red wine, and it was £9.50.
Where was this?
In this pub in London today.
Which one?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you which one.
Why not?
But, because I don't wish to name the place.
I want to know where they're ripping you off for £9.50.
Well, it just seems like an awful lot of money for a pint of beer and a glass of wine.
I'm not sure it is. A glass of wine would be about £5, a large glass.
Yeah.
Pint of beer, £4 in London. That's not excessive.
No, I suppose not. It just seemed like a lot of money for 2 drinks.
Now then, the other thing I was telling you about drink is this.
Yeah.
I read a medical report the other day. I have to keep a very close eye on medical reports because only a third of my heart works.
I've heard that, yeah.
And I have to be very careful what I ingest into my body. But this daft report...
That's why you eat so carefully, obviously.
Yes, I do, yeah. This daft report, which is so daft, I dismissed it. I mean, I should have taken more notice of it. It actually said that 2 cans of fizzy pop a day are as injurious to your liver as 2 glasses of wine.
Is that because of the residue that they leave behind?
It's
because of all the horrible sort of things that are in it?
It's because of the fizz or whatever, or
it's
the
because of all the chemicals that are inside.
Or the chemicals, is it, or something like that?
And the sugar.
But surely that's ridiculous. Surely it can't be damaging your liver as badly as alcohol.
It could do.
I think
because
it's ludicrous.
the problem about your liver and your kidneys, right, is that has to be kind of flushed through every so often, right?
Exactly.
And if you ruin it with too much alcohol, then you can damage your liver.
Yes.
Similarly, if you ruin it with too much sugar deposit, because you've seen those adverts where if you take say, a can of regular sort of fizzy drink, it's got something like 50 grams of sugar in it.
It's got like 10 ice cubes, 10 not ice cubes, 10
tablespoons of sugar.
10 sugar cubes.
And your body isn't designed to kind of take care of all of that sugar.
No,
and it can just linger there.
You could be right, but I'm a bit worried because my latest non-alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
Because I've gone through phases.
You have, yeah. Red Bull was a big one for a while, wasn't it?
Red Bull, I gave that up. And then Iron Brew.
Yeah.
Vimto.
Yeah.
Dandelion and burdock, I love, but you can't get it everywhere. No. So when I see one, I get 4
right.
I get 4 big
That's
bottles.
kind of a soft drink, though, isn't it? That's not really particularly fizzy, is it? Dandelion and burdock?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, is it?
No, it is, yeah, they're all fizzy. But the latest one, which I really love, is Tesco's Lemon and Lime, which is fantastic.
Lemon and lime what?
Well, Tesco's Lemon and Lime Pop.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Right.
And it's fantastic, but I've been drinking gallons of it over the last week.
Yeah, but it's the trouble with you.
I
You've got a very
into
addictive
it.
personality, I've
No,
decided.
no, I don't think so.
Because if you like something, you continue to do it over and over and over and over again.
Yes, exactly.
Like there are certain things that you eat and you eat them repeatedly. Certain things you drink repeatedly.
Yes.
So, I mean, to drink anything to excess like that is a bad idea.
Do you sometimes find that you hit on a food and you think, wow, this is fantastic, I wish I'd discovered this food 25 years ago.
No.
And then you eat it until you're sick of it and then you never eat it again.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I did that with croissants.
With croissants?
Oh, I got into a phase where I loved croissants.
You had a croissant yesterday morning, didn't you?
It wasn't actually a croissant. It was a variant on a croissant.
A variant on a croissant? What sort of variant?
It was Danish.
Oh, right, OK.
Danish.
I'm a big fan of Danish pastries.
Right, well, there you go, you see. So the croissants themselves, I went mad on croissants. And I started using croissants instead of bread and butter.
Yeah.
So I had like a sausage croissant, bacon croissant, ham and cheese croissant.
Well, some of the fast food companies started doing that.
Yeah, that's right. Then I put fruit in them.
Fruit?
Yeah, pears. Pear croissant.
Pear croissant.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. I don't know why you're laughing.
Well, because is that with your pears left over from the pear flag?
It would be, indeed. You're absolutely right.
Well, you put like tinned pears in a croissant?
Yeah, it's lovely,
with what?
honestly.
What, with butter?
No, just
on its own?
Yes, just the pears, honestly, it's fine.
Bizarre.
Well, no, it's not that bizarre. Surely you've seen the French whip up a sort of strawberry and cream sort of pastry.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's actually different.
Well, that's croissant stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Danish pastry and croissant is actually slightly different.
Well, you say that, but what I'm saying is,
how many croissants a day would you eat then?
Maybe 3.
3, really?
Yeah.
See, they're very fatty croissants.
Are they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They look quite thinning to me. And then after that, I got into baguettes. I started loving French baguettes.
Yeah.
Because they're so fresh when they're cooked. Because a lot of local supermarkets now cook their own baguettes. Yeah. And you can even smell them in the bakery and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they do that deliberately just to suck you in.
That's right, yeah. And you get in there, and I was eating like 3 baguettes a day. But what are you laughing for?
But why would you just become so obsessed with one type of food?
I don't know, but I love baguettes, and I put everything in a baguette.
Yeah.
Salmon.
And they're like, what would you... I mean, you're talking about these long baguettes.
Yeah.
Like a sort of half a French loaf.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Did you ever go to Subway?
I hate Subway.
Do you?
I hate Subway
Why?
because they put far too much in the sandwiches.
Yeah.
You can't get it in your mouth, it's too big.
Right.
And also, what's the problem? And I had a very...
I'm just trying to imagine you ordering a sandwich in a Subway.
Yeah, I had a very unfortunate experience in the Subway once when I said I wanted chicken.
Right.
And I said I'll have a double chicken in the same sandwich.
Yeah.
And it was so greasy and fat, the chicken. You know what I mean? It was like that particular part of the chicken had fat on it.
Yeah.
And I was ill.
Right.
And I've never had a Subway since.
Well, it's probably not the best place to have chicken,
No,
to be
it's
honest.
probably my fault. My fault, yeah. But anyway, that's another story. Loads of people... I'm not denigrating Subway. Lots of people love the Subway sandwiches. It's a very successful
Funny
business.
enough, I quite like them in America, but I never eat them here for some
right?
reason. Yeah, I think somehow they... But so what's your new thing then? So you've been through croissants, you've been through baguettes. What are you on to now?
I like... I've gone back onto English muffins.
OK.
Yeah, which
English
I quite
muffins,
like.
yeah.
Toasted.
Toasted English muffins, and what do you put on those?
Bacon.
Bacon
in between them.
You can make like a McMuffin actually with an egg, with bacon and cheese.
Well, I've never eaten an egg, so I can't, can I? But a bit of bacon is very. I prefer them just with butter and marmalade.
Yeah.
With thick rind.
What about crumpets? You ever had those?
Yeah, I like crumpets. Yeah, but I find that the problem with crumpets is I don't buy them on the principle that it's wasteful, because if you buy a packet of crumpets, the minimum packet you can get is 6.
Right.
And
you can put them in the freezer though.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
They
never come out the same.
You freeze them and just put them in the toaster, and away you go.
No, they never come out the same, honestly. So I would always normally eat 2 or 3 crumpets, maybe.
Yeah.
And then you've got 3 left. And the minute a crumpet is out of its packet, it starts degenerating, and they never taste the same again.
So you do realise that they make these things like weeks in advance, don't you?
Well, I throw them away, or I give them to the birds, or the
down and outs.
No, or the ducks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they like.
I don't think you should give crumpets to the ducks.
They do. They like crumpets.
That's very heavy for ducks.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I cut them up into little pieces, and it's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, I don't know why we're talking.
I don't know why we're talking about
because what I was going to say was, if you go out to the pub at lunchtime, as you do, and congest, voluminous amounts of alcohol as you do.
Well, that's not what I did.
I mean, why were you out today? Anyway?
I had to meet somebody that I hadn't seen for a while.
You had to meet somebody.
Yeah, I had to meet somebody. To be honest, I tried to avoid it because
and who was this person?
I'm not going to reveal that.
Why not?
Because it's none of your business.
I see. Was it a member of the male or female?
It's of no consequence who it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Why are you being so secretive?
I'm not being secretive. I just don't believe in telling everybody where I go and who I meet every single day.
See, you accuse me of not according with the audience, and yet I'm an open book.
Are you?
And what you are is you're like a Kremlinologist.
Kremlinologist?
Yeah,
no,
because
I'm not.
You try to be
I just don't
secretive
think
about your
anybody's
life.
interested in who
You're
I was
ashamed of some
with.
of the things you do in your life.
No, I'm not at all ashamed. No, but the bottom line is that I went out and the one thing I always say to people, look, if I'm coming out for a quick drink, I'm going to stay out for a couple of hours and I'll go home, so I'm going to go back to sleep because otherwise I don't have enough sleep before I come in here, and then I start going gaga like you do.
I don't need all the sleep that you have.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know why you have to do all this. I mean,
because I have to try and keep my brain focused.
I had 3 hours.
brain. You had 3 hours sleep all day
this morning. Yeah, that's all.
Well, that's not enough.
No, it's all
because
I need.
You've got, you can tell the kind of look in your eyes. You've got that kind of mad staring eyes thing going on.
No, I haven't got the mad staring eyes.
Well, you started to lose focus.
No, I don't.
And you can't concentrate on anything.
No, you're talking nuts again, talking madness again.
Yeah, no, I'm
because I was up and about, and do you know, it was 21 years ago today since Liz Hurley wore that remarkable dress that was held together by safety pins. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
21 years, really?
21 years, yeah.
God, I remember I was working on the Daily Express when that picture came in.
Exactly.
And
everybody
put it on the front page.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, wasn't it? And she built a whole career on that one night, wearing that dress, Versace dress, with Hugh Grant.
21 years ago. You sure you were on the Express? Yeah, I don't think we were there at the same time.
No, we weren't.
I don't think you were there.
What year was 21 years ago?
Well, count back 15 plus 6. That'd be 1994, wouldn't it?
94, no, you're right.
Yeah, so you weren't there?
No, I was at
So
another
you say
paper.
you were there, but you weren't there?
No, I was at another paper. That's
what
right,
I mean.
yeah, absolutely.
But weren't you in America?
I may have been.
I came back to England in 1992.
Yeah, I think
you went out
was.
to America in 1992, so you were in America.
Yeah, I was probably in America. You're absolutely right.
So I told you would go gaga.
But I'd never heard of Hugh Grant up till then, had you?
Yeah, of course.
No, I'd never heard of Hugh Grant up till then. Had you?
I had heard of Hugh Grant.
Well, had you done 3 weddings and a funeral by then?
4 weddings and a funeral.
4 weddings and a funeral.
3 weddings and a funeral. That was the one he did before that.
Oh,
yeah, of course he was. Yeah, he was quite well known.
Oh, okay.
But she wasn't well known at all.
She built a career in it.
Yeah.
And I thought she was brilliant. I think she's a great actress. I've seen her in a. It was going to be part of the TV review, the Royals.
The Royal thing, this is the American
and
thing.
I think she's brilliant, honestly. I think she's
we'll talk some more about that because
really
we've got
able, yeah.
And
people mock and deride her because she's a beautiful woman and she's captured the imagination of the world. She's made a fortune out of doing not very much, and people get jealous and envious of her. I say, good luck to her. Good luck to Kelly Brook.
Look, it might
good
be
luck
wrong.
to all those ladies who've cracked the system. Well done.
Well, it might be wrong at the time, but we've still run out of it. Got a few texts and tweets to read out to you, Mr. Parry.
Yes.
Here's one from Mark who says, he says, in Liverpool, we used to always do one of our own after ruling a round of drinks. And basically what that would mean was that only 10 or 20p extra was put into the middle of the sort of the pot. And then it was kind of divvied out at the end. And he says, asking if you remember the Falcon pub at the Cross in Chester city centre.
Yeah, I do.
You do remember that?
You know what? When I first went to school at the King's School Chester, the bus we used to get was right next to that place, and it was closed down for years.
Was it?
And then all of a sudden, when I got to drinking age, somebody came along, renovated it, and opened it. But it compensated for a pub opposite on the other side of the Cross called the New King's Head, which mysteriously closed down at the same time.
Right.
It's all a bit of a mystery.
It is all a bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
Here's one from Ian who says, in my bakery we do croissants, but the only way they sell them is to put chocolate fondant on the top and fresh cream inside.
Oh, no, that'd be far too fattening. I couldn't eat that. Listen, talking about managers, we talked about Steve McLaren moving in at Newcastle. Let's talk about a manager who's moved out, and that's Sam Allardyce, right? Yes. Because Sam Allardyce, obviously, I thought it was uncomfortable the way he left West Ham.
Yeah.
Not for him or not for West Ham, but an uncomfortable situation. Yeah. Everybody kind of knew he was going, and then it was supposed to...
And as it got closer and closer to the end of the season, it became clear that he wasn't hanging around.
Well, not only that, but it was, in the last 72 hours, it was all about, I'm going on holiday with my grandchildren, there'll be an announcement on Monday. Yeah. But the announcement came after the last game on Sunday. So, I thought it was handled very badly.
And also, was it not the case that then they said that he was going to attend this meeting at the end of the season, at which time his future was going to be decided? Then he said, well, actually, I'm not going to that meeting.
Exactly.
I'm going
on holiday.
And his agent was going to go to the meeting. Then the meeting never actually happened.
No, that's absolutely right.
Was that not a case of deceiving the fans, then, do you think? From West Ham's
I think it was badly handled. I totally agree with you. Yeah. But then again, West Ham's owners are very excited about owning a football club.
Yeah.
And when you looked at all the newspapers yesterday morning, that's right, yeah. Right. So Wednesday morning. I mean, one paper, for instance, said that the new manager at West Ham, Slaven Bilic, is the 10th choice.
Yeah, 10th choice.
The 10th choice.
I mean, we were saying last night he was at least the 4th choice.
One paper said 5th choice on the back, but when I looked in the inside back of the Daily Mail, I think it was, Matt Barlow, he listed 10 other managers who'd been approached before Slaven Bilic.
Right.
So, you can get these things... You can lose a grip on these sort of things, lose control through your enthusiasm, and I'm sure it is only enthusiasm.
Which also means, presumably, that if Slaven Bilic was the 11th choice, and Sam Allardyce was actually the 12th choice. Well, they got rid of a guy that they had 10 other people ahead of, or 11 other people ahead of.
Well, I don't know. I think once they'd made it clear to him that, they wished to replace him, there's no way he's going to stay. So I think that's a proper equation.
Don't you?
But what I'm saying is, naturally, Sam's now speaking out about it because he's now talked at length in the newspapers that will drop on people's doorsteps in a few hours' time. This morning, Sam Allardyce has told new West Ham boss Slaven Bilic, I've left the club in great shape, now it's down to you. Big Sam left the Hammers last month after 4 years in charge, during which he got them up from the Championship and established the team as a solid Premier League outfit. Now former Croatia boss Bilic has the responsibility of building on those foundations and leading the club. Allardyce says, I've left Slaven in a very good position, so he's not, as I turn inside here, where am I going? Here we are. Not doing what I had to do. He's not going into a club which has just been relegated or survived by the skin of its teeth. The players are well established. So, Sam is taking all the credit for reviving the club.
Well, shouldn't he take the credit for that? That's what he did, didn't he?
To a certain extent, but they had a poor second half of the season.
They did, that's true.
So things have run down.
But don't you think that could be as well down to the fact that he knew he was leaving? Because whenever you get a situation where a manager knows that he's leaving, but no matter what you say, no matter what human instinct is, you're never going to be trying quite so hard if you know you're not going to be in the job in 3 months' time.
I totally agree. And I think in that job as well, you've got to have a lot of ego to be able to survive. You've got to convince people all the time that you're the best and you're good and all that. If you remember the spectacular outburst from Sam 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, he should be managing Real Madrid. He should be managing AC Milan and all that. But
because it's a bit like the business we were in, newspapers, right? Where the perception of what is going on is often more important than the actual reality of what is going on. If you're perceived to be weak, or if you're perceived to be somebody who's prone to making mistakes, then that will become the reality. And actually, whether you're a good manager or not will depend on how people perceive you.
Yes, no, I totally agree with that. Yeah. But anyway, he says here in a big talk, it's actually with an old mate of mine, Sean Custis, who was the... I think he's head of content at the Sun. And
head of content.
Head of content.
That's a terrible phrase.
I know. It used to be sports editor.
Yeah.
And but you see, you have contradictory feelings about managers now when they lose jobs and all that. This interview is taking place at Sam's Spanish villa, and it's built on the side of a hill. And he's picture him leaning on the balcony overlooking, this valley and all this kind of stuff. Sorry?
Has it got a swimming pool? Would you not see that?
Well, I don't know if it's got a swimming pool or not. But what I'm saying is, it's so hard, really, to have any sympathy with people in football who lose their jobs, because whenever they lose their jobs, they've either been earning $3 million a year for the last 4 years. Right. I think Sam was on $6 million a year.
He was one of the highest paid managers in the world.
That's right. So conservatively, 20 million quid over a 4-year contract at West Ham. Or... But
this is one of the things, I mean, quite often we hear at Talk Sport, some of the ex-players will say, it's never good to hear about somebody who's lost their job in football. But, I mean, there's no resemblance to losing your job in any other business, because you walk away with a bucket load of money.
Funny enough, I did the breakfast show yesterday morning with Alan and Ray of Arabia.
Ray of Arabia, yes.
And believe it or not, that was exactly the question I said to Ray. I said, so John Carver and his assistant have gone, the other guy, the other coach at Newcastle.
Steve Stone,
Steve Stone, that's right, little Steve Stone. Used to play for Nottingham Forest and Leeds, didn't he? And I said, So what do you think about that, Ray? Did you rate them, or what sort of reputation do they have in the business and all that? And Ray gave the stock answer.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for anybody who's lost his job.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even them on their lowly positions at Newcastle will have picked up hundreds of thousands of pounds for a severed contract, because their contracts were long-term contracts attached to the former manager, Alan Pardew.
Yeah. But mind you, having said that, an awful lot of people, I suppose, will go out of football and not get back into it very quickly. And sometimes if it goes on too long, then you never get back in.
What's the biggest payoff you've had?
Biggest payoff I've what? You in money terms?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that.
Well, I mean, where was it then?
The biggest payoff I got was from the Mirror.
Okay.
Definitely.
Substantial?
Yeah, reasonably substantial, yeah. Although...
Well, there you go, you see.
What?
So, and what have you done with it? You've blown it.
What do you mean I've blown it?
You've blown it?
No, I haven't blown
Yes,
it
you
at
have.
all. No, I bought a house with it.
Well, where is the house?
The house is no longer in my possession.
Oh, that's what I think. That's what I mean. You've blown it, haven't you?
I haven't blown it.
Yes,
No,
you
it
have.
just came in very useful at the time.
So I got the money. I had enough to buy a house. You
Yeah.
bought a house, but you don't have the house anymore.
Don't have the house.
You
No, I
lose
had
it
to
to
sell the
gambling
house.
debt?
No, I didn't lose it to gambling debt.
No,
What's it going to do with you, what I did with it?
Well, I want to know what happened to the house.
Well, it was a house in Scotland, and then we moved. We sold the house in Scotland and moved back down to London.
Okay, and why didn't you buy a house in
Haven't
London?
bought another house yet. No, just haven't decided.
You haven't decided?
Haven't found a place.
You see, you're just modelling your life
But
again
it certainly wasn't in the...
on what I call the loser's
charter. But it certainly wasn't in the millions.
The loser's charter. It was enough to buy a house. I mean, goodness gracious me. And you managed to blow that.
No, I haven't blown it.
I know where it went. I know where that went.
Where do you think it went?
It went on birds and booze.
Rubbish, absolute
yes,
rubbish.
Yes, it did.
Well, what's the biggest payoff you've ever had then?
Well, you don't need to know that.
Well, have you ever had a payoff?
I've never been sacked.
Yeah, so you've never had a payoff then?
Well, no, I have negotiated transferable funds from one job.
No.
Ending to another starting.
If you've never been sacked, they're not going to give you money because you've resigned. They wouldn't do that.
I've negotiated a settlement.
So if you've been given a settlement, it means you were fired.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. It was a reward for having done a fantastic job over a number of years.
Absolute rubbish. No media company would have paid you money to leave if you were leaving of your own accord.
All the money out of that house you spent on women,
not true.
Chasing women around.
No, not true.
Posh hotels, taking them to Singapore on business class flights and all that.
True.
And £70 bottles of champagne.
No,
that's true. No. That is true, folks. Believe me, that is true.
Yeah, believe you.
See this man's face in the studio now. Guilt is written all over that fat face. Balloon face, I call him, in this situation.
Look at the time, it's still wrong. This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Talk Sport.
This is TalkSport Extra Time. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course. We're currently trying to track down a guy in a log cabin to talk about vampire fish. This is the kind of thing we do at this time of the morning in TalkSport studios.
Do.
Even though it's a little bit later than we think it is, because the clock still hasn't somehow managed to right itself. But here's a story for you, right? Yeah. On the top of your obesity campaign that you've been running, and we were talking about 56-inch waisted policemen yesterday.
Unbelievable,
There's a story in one of the papers this morning with a headline that says Man Huge United, and it says that Manchester United are now going to start selling their new shirts in a whopping new size XXXXL.
I know, I saw that.
So that's like basically triple extra large.
I know, it's disgraceful,
That's
isn't it?
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's disgraceful they pander to fans who are that big. They should really say, look, you are so gross. You know, they should say, you are so gross, so obese, we don't want to see you walking around in a Manchester United shirt. Because if they do, what sort of image does that give to the world of Manchester United fans? You know, great big fat people going abroad, bursting out of a Manchester United shirt.
Well, the sale of the shirts to them is more important than anything else, I suppose, because they need the numbers.
I don't get that at all. My view is there's an image to be had, and I wouldn't, you know, for instance, if we had... in fact, we have got, actually, T-shirts with our logo on it now.
We will have
it's called The Two Mics, that's right, Now, there is an instruction going out from us to the retailers. You do not sell them to fat and obese people.
Really?
Because we don't want people turning up at our shows.
Well, why are you saying that?
Well, because we don't, who are gross. We don't want gross people,
Is that what you're saying?
I am definitely saying that.
Are you sure you want to say that? I know that's very wise.
I would like to offer the hand of friendship to obese people and those of larger size, but... You know, I just wonder whether we can help you to reduce your size. What are you laughing at?
Because I think you've just made another reverse ferret.
No, not at all.
I don't think we should be talking about the people and their sizes, but apparently Newcastle are already selling large shirts. Tottenham are already selling large shirts. And do you remember when we were in America, if you wanted to buy an NFL shirt, inevitably it was too big for you because it was designed to go over, all the padding and everything they were. So you couldn't actually buy what was called a tight-fitting NFL shirt. So, I just thought I would mention that. I didn't expect you to go on some rant about people that come to our shows.
Well, no, look, I want everybody to come to our shows. We love you all, honestly. We can't wait to see you all in Salford Quays and the Toon side, Newcastle.
The Toon
Tyne, and we see you all. But you see, I know that Manchester and Newcastle very well, and they're full of very slim people, full of people who are in exact proportion to their size and all that kind of stuff. So we look forward to seeing you all. Very attractive bunch. Now then, I want to talk to you about giving blood. Have you ever given blood?
I have given blood, yeah.
When?
I gave blood only once, actually, a long time ago, not that long ago. When I was living in Scotland, funny enough, I was working at the Daily Record building.
Did they allow you to give blood without a medical test?
Well, no, they do a little test out of your thumb. They prick your thumb and they run it through a couple of things to make sure you haven't got any incommunicable diseases.
Yeah.
And then they let you give blood. And one of the reasons that I did it, actually, I must confess, was because they made it very easy. They literally brought the blood bank bus and parked it outside the building. So I thought, well, all I've got to do is walk downstairs and walk into the blood bank bus. Yeah. And so I gave blood. So I was very happy to do so.
See, there is a feeling in the medical world, because I keep in touch with my friends.
Do you know what your blood type is?
It's the standard one.
What do you mean the standard one? You don't know, do you?
Yeah, it's like AB.
AB?
Yeah.
You think it's AB?
Yeah.
Well, it's either A or B, isn't it?
No, there's an AB blood.
So is it AB positive or AB negative?
I think it's O.
You think it's O?
I think it's O, my blood.
You think it's O? You say you don't know what your blood type is.
Well, you don't need to know, do you?
Well, of course you need to know.
Why do I need to know?
Well, because if anything ever happens to you, it's a good idea if you can say, by the way, this is my blood type.
Oh, yeah, so the old Merc runs into the back of a lorry, a transporter. Yeah. I'm smashed to smithereens, lying in the wreckage. Yeah. The paramedics turn up, and my jaw's all broken, my teeth have all been knocked out, and I'm supposed to tell them what sort of blood I've got.
It would be helpful if something somewhere on your person it told them what your blood type was, because then they wouldn't have to worry about finding out. All they've got to do
is take one spot of my blood and put it on their machine, they can tell.
Yeah, but if they knew it there, they might be able to give you a transfusion there and then.
Yeah, but they would. They'd have a machine with them which would tell what sort of blood I've got.
The reason I found out what my blood type was when I went to Bosnia, because I was fitted out by the British Army with all sorts of reasonable kind of, they gave us field dressings basically, because if we were going out and something was going to happen, you had to be taught how to put a field dressing on, and you had to have your blood type written on the side of your bulletproof vest.
Right, in case you need a blood transfusion.
You've been in all these war zones, I would have thought you would have known that.
No, I didn't bother getting all that protection. I just went in there gung-ho and covered them.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't believe that.
And the Israeli army was shelling me in the
were you not wearing a bulletproof vest?
In the Sinai Desert. Was it the Sinai Desert? Well, it might have been another desert. It was in some valley, actually. Is it the Bekaa Valley? I think it was the Bekaa Valley.
Well, you're not wearing a bulletproof vest then?
No, I wasn't, no.
Why not? Everybody wears bulletproof vests in a war zone.
I wasn't embedded with the IDF.
Are you sure you were there at all?
IDF, the Israeli Defence Forces.
Well, they would have ensured...
Of course I was.
Well, nobody would have let you travel with them as a defence force unless you were wearing a bulletproof vest.
I said I wasn't embedded with them. I said we were there.
Well, what were you in a Ford Fiesta around the back?
Yeah. Actually, it was.
Right.
It wasn't a Ford Fiesta. It was a
that's very irresponsible
Polo.
Of you.
And when we took it back, it got hit by a tank, and they weren't very pleased, the Avis people. But anyway, there you go. Now, what I was going to say is one of the biggest problems to blood donorship these days is tattoos.
Is it?
So many people have got tattoos, they won't take blood from anybody with a tattoo in case the ink is leaked into your blood system.
Oh, right. So is that somehow something that prevents you from giving blood then? Is that one of the things that's a tick box that says you can't do it?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Right. So there's a crisis now because so many people have got tattoos that they can't give blood. How about that?
How bizarre. So you've never given blood by the sounds of it?
I'm not sure whether I have or not.
Well, no, if you're not sure, that means you haven't.
Well, you say that, but then again, I've done a lot of medical things in my lifetime, which, I kind of sort of
It's not the kind of thing you would do, is it? Because giving blood's sort of helping people.
No, I would give blood if I could, but you've got to remember, only 1/3 of my heart works.
That doesn't stop your blood from being given, does it?
Yeah, but it's not good blood, because it doesn't move fast around my body.
You've got bad blood now, so
it could be coagulatory blood.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
You may well be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me.
And also, remember, my blood is full of, drugs, all the time.
That doesn't surprise me either.
I take 22 tablets a day to keep the old ticker going, because the ticker's, 1/3.
Well, you're probably not allowed to give blood then.
I would think you're probably right, yeah. But all I'm saying is that there is a movement now that people who can give blood, i.e. those without tattoos and without, if you've had HIV or something like that, you can't give blood and all that. So
my daughter couldn't give blood in America because she lived in England during CJD.
Oh, yeah, I understand that. Oh, funnily enough, it says that. transmission of 4 cases of variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, yeah?
Creutzfeldt-Jakob.
That's right, in the late 90s.
Yeah.
I see. But what I'm saying is there is a movement within the NHS to say those who can give blood, right, should give 4 pints a year regularly so that there is a regular supply, because there are so many people now who don't qualify to be able to give blood.
No, I'm sure.
Because they emaciate their own... No, they don't emaciate. They attack their own bodies with things like tattoos and themselves take drugs and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's a
well,
disgrace.
we'll talk some more about that in a
scandal.
minute. We'll talk some more about that in a minute. But since you've never given blood, I think you're in a position to tell people that they're doing the wrong thing. Anyway, it's now time to have a look at what's going on in the old transfer market, because the transfer window is now actually open. Russell Hargreaves is here. Russell, very good morning to you.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, very well indeed. Now,
excellent.
We didn't know the transfer window was opening quite so quickly, did we, yesterday?
Snuck its way out, hasn't it? Very slyly indeed. Manchester City, Mike, are the big ones really this morning. They dominate plenty of papers. I'm not sure if you've heard any of the quotes yet, but the chairman, Khaldoon Al-Mubarak, has given an interview where he's basically said on Manchester City TV that finally players from around the world want to come for City for its quality as a club and not for just a big paycheck. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But he's saying there's been a real kind of change in the shift in the sand in that regard. And in the papers today, being linked with 3 really, really top quality players. Former Chelsea midfielder Kevin De Bruyne, of course, the Bundesliga's runaway player of the year with Wolfsburg. De Bruyne has said that talks between his agent and City have started informally for up to about a £50 million move, a player that Chelsea let go for about a fifth of that 18 months ago. So he could be on the way in, Mike. Raheem Sterling is being increasingly heavily linked with City from Liverpool, as is Paul Pogba from Juventus, of course, the dynamic French midfielder, and those are 3 quality players.
Yeah, so is the belief now that Raheem Sterling will leave Liverpool, but not for points sort of foreign, that he'll stay in the Premier League?
That
probably
seems
go to
to
Manchester
be,
City?
the more growing kind of strand of it, I would say, Mike. And the other interesting take on that in the papers is an interview that Michael Owen has given. It's carried heavily in the Express and in the Star. Sterling is no great loss, and Raheem not key to cop. Michael Owen saying, you know what, if this contractual dispute doesn't get solved, if he goes, he's not been that great last season. Would it be such a big loss? Not all would agree with that, but I think some certainly would.
Yeah, there's more and more doubt about Raheem Sterling's ability to justify these ridiculous headlines of 45 to 60 million pounds in transfer.
Yeah,
you'll have seen in that list that was published yesterday morning.
He was the expensive player in the world.
Expensive player in the world at £60 million. Yeah. And do you know how much Messi was valued at?
Yeah, he was above them, wasn't he?
205 million.
Right.
205 million to buy Lionel Messi now. That puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
I mean, you look at the form that Sterling showed for England the other night, which wasn't great again against Ireland. He played well 2 seasons ago, but this season he's kind of a bit of a lost figure, so possibly approaching a crossroads. But he, as I say, is one of 3 players that City are tracking very heavily as they try to get back to being proper rivals for Chelsea next season, Mike.
And it looks like Glenn Johnson's moving out of Liverpool as well.
Is he? Where's he going?
He's going to Besiktas, apparently, after being released, it says here.
Yeah, absolutely. They're basically, a lot of clubs have listed players who aren't going to be offered new contracts right across the board. People like Abu Diaby at Arsenal and Glenn Johnson at Liverpool. He's 30 now, could be off to Turkey. I think his days as a kind of real force for England and in the Premier League are done. And just very quickly, one revolving door kind of story. If Real Madrid's forward Karim Benzema goes to Manchester United, which the Telegraph is saying could happen, then David De Gea could then be used as a make-weight part of the tempter to end up at the Bernabeu. If that happens, Arsenal would then try and buy the current keeper there, which is Iker Casillas. So there is a potential 3-way deal between, again, 3 more real quality players.
And that would mean they wouldn't go after Peter Cech, I suppose.
Quite possibly.
Is still probably moving from Chelsea somewhere. Russell, thank you very much indeed. We'll keep you updated with more transfer stuff throughout the week, of course, and throughout the month, and throughout July as well. We got lots more to do. Coming up, it's time for Porky Vision. We'll be finding out from Mr. Parry what TV shows he's been watching this week, what's good and what's bad, and what's indifferent. It's all coming up on TalkSport. That music can only mean one thing. It is, of course, the return of Porky Vision. We had 1 week where it didn't appear because of the FIFA revelations, but it's back. And just before I ask you to give us the rundown on all the stuff you've been watching, I'm afraid you're getting a complete and utter tonking all over social media about your stuff about giving blood, because, in fact, what people are saying is you can give blood if you've had tattoos, you just can't give it straight away. Mickey says you can give blood if you have tattoos 5 months after having them done. My sister told me, as she works with a blood transfusion group. And here's one from Rajiv, who says, it's a shame you don't know your blood type type, Porky. Please go to hospital and get to know before it is too late.
Yeah.
And Dave the Postie in Brum says, are you sure you can't give blood if you have a tattoo?
Yeah.
I have tattoos and have donated blood. I think you'll find you're not allowed to do it for 12 months after having it done.
Well, there you go. I'm absolutely right.
No,
all
you're not
these
right.
people picking me up on the minutiae of what I said.
No, you said people with tattoos couldn't give blood.
By the way, if I had my way, I don't think people who have tattoos should give blood. How do you know that it's not seeping into your system all the time?
Because they've got ways of testing it.
Well,
obviously.
I'm sorry, I don't think that's good enough.
Well, maybe you could get through the rest of the show without alienating another large group of people.
No. All I'm saying is we've already had two versions of if you can give blood or not with a tattoo.
No, we haven't.
One
you
is
can.
5 months.
Yeah.
The other one is 12 months.
Right.
I bet you there's another
John is
2
a
years.
Blackburn fan. He says, I've got loads of tattoos and I give blood regularly. It's only recently tattooed people.
Yeah, well, there you go. I made that absolutely clear.
Right.
Now then, I wanted to review in the porkyvision the Syndicate.
The Syndicate. Yeah, tell us about the Syndicate for those of us who don't know what it is.
I haven't seen it yet.
What do you mean you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Well, how can you review it then?
Well, because I've read up on it.
Right,
I've
okay.
read up on it.
Well, what's it about?
It's about...
Is it a mafia film?
It's about loads of money.
Right.
It's about loads of money.
Yeah.
That's... and somebody advised
Well, Harry
me...
Enfield.
Sorry?
Well, like Harry Enfield.
Well, not really. It's a bit more serious than that. It's about all this money, right? And it's about... as you quite rightly say, organised crime.
Yes.
Dealing with money laundering.
Yeah.
Money laundering, right?
Okay.
And, it doesn't matter that I haven't actually seen... What are you laughing at?
I'm just looking at a thing called The Syndicate, right? It's a British television drama series.
Right.
It was written by Kay Mellor and is broadcast on BBC One.
Okay.
The first series concerns 5 supermarket workers in Leeds.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's got nothing to do with the mafia.
Oh, well, I've got the wrong syndicate then.
They enter a lottery syndicate and win.
Oh, do they?
The second series focuses on a syndicate of workers at a public hospital in Bradford.
Oh, no, this is a different one.
The third series features a syndicate of staff members of a crumbling stately home.
I think I must be talking about the American version of the syndicate.
Oh, are you?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a different programme
All right,
altogether.
I'll try and check that one
I think it is. And look, I tell you what, let's move on, because what I really want to talk about this week is Coronation Street, okay?
Right.
Because...
Well, hang on, we're going to talk about the syndicate. Here's a TV series, American one.
Okay.
Let's see what this one says.
Right, what does that say?
No, it's the same.
What do you mean?
It looks like it's the same thing.
What, you mean they've got an American version of a load of workers who win the lottery?
Yeah, looks like it, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't... that doesn't sound right, that.
The US version will have lucky lottery winners being employed at a service station in Queens.
Oh, I see.
And the number of people who share the win will be up from 5.
Okay. Well, look, I tell you what, I'll review a bit of that next week, I think,
Right.
Okay? When I've had a look at it.
Yeah, all right.
Now, so Coronation Street, too many people dying.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
So I've just caught up with the fact that the young girl who is Sophie's girlfriend has died.
Has she?
Because she got blown away.
Well, we had a question, didn't we,
fire.
about this in the fire? The fire was part of the question in the Coronation Street quiz last week, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah, and you got it wrong.
Oh.
Actually, no, you got it right.
Yeah, I thought I did
Because
get
the
it
last
right.
words that she said to Cal
Yeah, that's right.
were, yes, I will marry you.
Yeah, but it was not Cal who's died now. Cal died in the fire.
Yeah.
And then Maddie... Is it Maddie?
I don't know. You're the expert.
Maddie, don't die on me, Maddie.
Are you feeling all right?
That was.
Are you feeling okay? Seriously? I mean, have the drugs finally pushed you over the edge?
No, don't be silly.
You started telling me about a mafia show called The Syndicate, which is about a load of supermarket workers winning the lottery. You told me that people who've got tattoos can't get blood, which is complete and utter cobblers.
No, it's not.
Right?
No, it's not. You're sort of winding me up here. Now, Sophie, Sophie, come and eat your beans on toast. That's what Sally says to her. Sally's her mother, right?
Right, okay.
But Sophie's, like, in the window of the hospital and says, oh, please save Maddie, save her, save her.
And what's wrong with Maddie, then? Why is she dying?
Well, it's a bit odd, actually, this. There was a fire in which Cal died, sadly.
Yes.
It was actually pretty gruesome. They brought his body out in a body bag.
No.
And the 4 of them carrying it.
I don't know why they have to be so sort of realistic with some of these
body
things.
bags have a handle at the 4 corners, so you carry these bodies around.
so that people can carry them out.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome.
Yeah, it is.
But what happened was a spark from the original fire sort of pinged over to the builder's yard where there was a gas container, right?
Right.
And the gas container blew up, and it blew Maddie away, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Blew her against the wall and bashed her head, unfortunately. And so I think she died of some sort of brain damage or something.
Right.
Brain hemorrhage or something like that. It's all fiction, of course, so
Yeah, of course.
I'm not being insensitive here,
No, that's good.
And,
you wouldn't want to. You haven't been insensitive so far on the show.
No. And Sophie, wanted her to live because the girlfriends with each other, and she dies. So he's gone. But she's gone. But at the same time, the plot culminated about Michael,
right?
Who, a ludicrous plot. Michael is a burglar who broke into Gail's house, and she arrives home to find him lifting her alarm clock and a
Why
camera.
is he stealing her alarm clock?
Don't know.
Why would you steal an alarm clock?
I don't know.
Seems a stupid thing to do.
And
mind you, we could do with an alarm clock here because it would tell the right time.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've got a situation where, he's frozen, she's walked in.
Yeah.
But, I mean, ludicrously, over the next few months, she feels sorry for him because he's a man down on his luck.
Despite the fact that he's burglarised her apartment.
She goes to see him in jail and she ends up marrying him.
Oh, dear.
But then the ludicrous plot is he goes off to find his long-lost son.
Yeah.
Because he discovers he has a heart condition.
Is this the guy who thought he had a long-lost son, but it turns out the guy that is impersonating his long-lost son?
Exactly.
I know quite a lot about Coronation Street. I've never watched it.
So what's just happened is he's just realised the long-lost son he's, devoted all his love and attention to. And
it's not actually his son.
It's not his son.
Yeah, we knew that ages ago.
What?
Did we not know that ages ago, though?
Well, yes, but...
We didn't need that for the syndicate, did you?
No.
We managed to get completely wrong.
Well, that's not my fault.
Don't give away the end of the show that you've never watched.
But people gave you misinformation.
Did they?
They did, honestly. Gave you loads of misinformation.
Yeah. Are you not on one of these, like mailing lists of all the big TV companies who send you the stuff early?
I don't always have time to read it or watch it. Don't have time to watch it.
Yeah.
No, so Coronation Street, I think, has become a little bit daft.
Yeah, okay.
And also, Carla is being blamed for the fire.
I thought that was another show.
No. Carla's been blamed for this. You see, Carla gets bladdered, right?
Yeah.
In the flat.
Right.
And
who's Carla?
Oh, she's the girl who owns the factory.
Okay.
She owns the
factory that went on fire.
No, wasn't it? It was her flat that went on fire.
Okay.
Because what happened
is fires.
Yeah, there are a lot of fires, and there's a lot of people dying.
Yeah.
It's all
is there no fire brigade in Coronation Street?
Well, they took a hell of a long time to get there. That's absolutely true.
They're so busy with all the fires,
honestly. They took an awful long time to get there. Yeah. And then when they did...
Right.
This is a bit mad as well. They put a ladder up instead of bursting in, with perspex sort of masks on and battling
breathing
the flames.
apparatus.
Yeah. They put a ladder up to the balcony.
Right.
And so it's no wonder old Cal died because it's rather a slow process getting all the bodies over the balcony onto the ladder.
Yeah, I bet.
But anyway, there you go. So Carla is now being accused of having killed Cal the fire because. For some reason that was never explained, somebody came along and gave Carla, honestly, a box of candles. Like you do. You know what I mean? Here we are, and all of a sudden,
here we are in this soap opera that's very prone to
do you want
spontaneous combustion.
Have a few candles.
Right.
And so she took these candles home.
Right.
And then, amazingly, one of the other evil women in the show, whose name I forgot, Tracy, she, for some unknown reason, breaks into Carla's place. And lights a candle because she can't see anything.
Right.
Despite the fact that Carla is bladdered out on the couch.
Yeah.
Carla doesn't wake up.
Right.
So then Tracy...
Then there's a fire.
And Tracy leaves the candle on the table.
Yeah.
That sets fire to the table lamp. And all of a sudden, you've got death all over the place.
They really need some new scriptwriters here, don't they, to try and come up with different ways of people being involved in sort of calamities.
But listen, the other one I need to tell you about, the historic one, because I always like to do an historic programme.
Yeah, a bit of an historic programme.
Is Minder.
Minder.
Now, Minder should have finished when Terry McCann left the show.
Didn't it?
Terry McCann is, in fact, Dennis Waterman.
Dennis Waterman, yeah.
Of Sweeney fame.
That's right.
And that was his best role ever, George, the sergeant in the Sweeney.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
He was skipper to Jack Regan. Right, okay. And lost his wife, actually, in the Sweeney. She got knocked down by a hit-and-run driver.
What, the real wife?
No, his wife in the show.
Oh, okay.
So, anyway, then he gets into Minder, which was quite good. And, in Minder, Terry McCann was supposed to be the big star, and the other guy, the guy who employed him, the second-hand car dealer.
Right.
George, was it?
George Cole.
George Cole, that's it. Well done, good. Arthur.
Yeah. Arthur, what? Why are you nodding your head?
Because
Daly.
Arthur Daly became a byword. And Arthur was supposed to be a minor character.
Yeah.
But George Cole played it up so well, he became the dominant character.
Yeah.
In the same way, by the way, as J.R. Ewing, played by Larry Hagman in Dallas, was supposed to be a minor character.
Right.
Did you know that?
I didn't know
When
that.
Dallas first came out, the major character was supposed to be Patrick Duffy, who played Bobby Ewing.
Right.
Oh, Bobby.
And his wife, Victoria, what's her face?
Victoria Principal.
Yeah.
Most beautiful woman on television. Gosh, she would have been at the top of the FMP list in those days. Believe me, the first Mrs. Parry. Beautiful lady.
Did you ever meet her?
No, didn't meet her, no. Met Chris Evert.
You met Chris Evert? She wasn't in Dallas?
No, she wasn't, actually. She was a tennis player. But anyway, there you go. But it's it's similar sort of...
What's Chris Evert got to do with it?
Well, anyway, so what I'm saying is Terry McCann they should have finished Minder at the end of Terry McCann's running it.
Why are you even telling me this?
Because they didn't. They found some other young fella.
Right, to play the same part?
Yeah, with buck teeth.
Oh, yeah.
And a really sort of chinless wonder. Chinless wonder type he was.
Right.
And he was never able to put over the sort of personality of Dennis Waterman. So it should have ended then. It didn't. And therefore, the historic episodes I'm watching now are of no interest to me. So I'm not watching them.
Did they keep Dennis Waterman's theme tune? Is the obvious question to ask.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Well, all I can tell you is that there's some specifically porkyvision related tweets. Right.
Okay.
Here's one from Bill.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who says, Porky, you talked about this on last week's porkyvision, you blithering idiot.
What? What did I talk about? I didn't.
I don't know. Def
Do
says,
you remember this?
Porky saying Corrie plots are ludicrous whilst making up fictitious shows, syndicate, is priceless. #bluffer.
What?
William says, Porky, the only TV reviewer who reads other TV reviewers to give his own TV reviews.
Well,
and Maxwell says, Porkyvision this week's making absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Well, I don't agree with any of that.
I think it's an absolute triumph.
I don't agree with any of this.
I think it's the best one yet.
I don't agree.
No, it's
I think it's strong.
It's absolutely tremendous. Well done.
I think it's a strong feature.
Next week, he'll be telling us all about Syndicate, I think, once he's had a look at it to make sure he knows what the plot lines are.
I will, actually.
That was Porkyvision.
I'll have a look at
Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. You might recognise that bit of music. Because
now, was that called Badge?
It was Cream.
Cream, yeah.
Is
it Badge?
Yeah, it is Badge, yeah.
Is that right, yeah?
Now, I mean, this is something actually you can put in your diary as a future Porkyvision thing to look at, because the BBC is actually going to do a documentary with Ginger Baker.
That's right.
The reclusive drummer of Cream. They managed to track him down to his vast estate down in South Africa.
Yeah. You can buy a vast estate in South Africa for about 50 grand.
Can you?
Yeah, of course you can. You can buy about 100 acres for 50 grand.
Can you?
Yeah. I mean, you've got to remember, South Africa's a massive country.
Right.
And there's lots of land there. I'm not saying it's a cheap country. It's not. I mean, property, as you well know, the sort of Oscar Pistorius type properties are millions and millions of pounds. Yeah. But it's so vast, in the winelands and all that, you can get property cheap. And what he did is he took a fancy to polo horses when he had money in this country as a member.
Peloponnes. It's a famous old honeymooners joke, but you might not get it. Peloponnes. Polo ponies. Jackie Gleason pronounced them Peloponnes. Never mind.
Oh, right, okay.
If you never saw it, you wouldn't have got
it. And then he decided to emigrate, because I think he married a lady from South Africa or something like that.
Yeah, he might have done. Yeah.
So he went out there and bought this farm, and then he got himself into awful sorts of money tangles and legal cases about who owned the horses and who owned the farm.
It says that a part of his sort of candid tell-all story is that he spent some time basically living rough in Tuscany.
Yeah.
In Italy for a while.
Yeah.
But apparently when they first caught up with him, the documentary crew, he basically he filmed attacking them. And threatening to put them all in hospital.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But obviously they managed to come to some arrangement. Yeah. He's now going to tell the story of his life with Cream.
Which
should be very interesting.
But he's an absolute hero of mine, because I've told you this story before, and I'm sure the listeners will remember. He was working in a post office sorting office, sorting out mail.
Right.
When he went to his supervisor one morning and said, "Look, Jack," or whatever your name is, "thanks for everything, I'm leaving."
Right.
"Oh, really? Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to become a drummer in a pop group." And the supervisor, said, "I didn't know you could play the drums."
Yeah.
And Ginger Baker said, "No, I can't.
Right.
I'm going off to learn how to play the drums. I'm taking some lessons, and then I'm going to become the best drummer in the world."
Well, he did become a great drummer, didn't he?
He did. He did exactly what he carried out. Can you imagine that? And that has always interested me, Mike. It's always interested me, because I believe within all of us there must be some sort of latent talent that we don't ever get the chance to expose.
Well, I think there are many people who would find perhaps an outlet that they didn't know they had if they were... I mean, that's what education is meant to be for. If you can expose people to something that they didn't know they were really good at, that's how you create, creative people sometimes.
If you gave me a mouth accordion now...
A mouth accordion?
Yeah. What are you laughing at? What's it called?
I don't think I'd be able to fit it into, cram it into your face. It's a mouth organ.
Mouth organ, that's right. Yeah. That's what I meant. You gave me a mouth organ now. I might just suddenly pick that up and start playing it. And, gosh, I'm a genius. Just like you were talking about playing the violin last night.
Well, we were talking about, absolutely right.
Yeah.
But you can actually, but you can also learn to be. I mean, Ginger Baker turned out to be a great drummer. You know, now whether that was because he actually was able to just become better and better at it, whether it was because he watched other people. But, I mean, for me, you know, drumming is one of those things. I mean, my son's quite a good drummer, and I've tried drumming. I can't drum to save my life. I just don't think...
Right, you can't get the rhythm.
Well, it's not so much... I mean, I could play a violin, no problem at all. I can hear music quite well. You know, I can get rhythm, but I can't play the drums. I just couldn't. For 100 times that I've tried, I just could never do it.
It's not called drumming, it's called percussion.
Yeah.
And apparently the standard bar beats are 1-2 or 2-4. Did you know that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that may be straightforward to you, but I'm sure, I mean, there's also lots of other ones which are less obvious, you know.
Anyway, look, we were going to talk about family holidays.
Well, before we do that,
before
we do that, what about James Last? Did you see the story about James Last?
No, what's happened to him? The jazz singer.
No, he was a big band leader.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, he wasn't a jazz singer, but
jazz band
it was
leader.
a James Last Orchestra.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And they always used to advertise their records before around about Christmas time.
Right.
He died in Florida yesterday, age 86.
Did he?
Born in Germany. Died peacefully in the presence of his family. Sold millions of records with his trademark happy music. It was what he used to call elevator music. You know, it was like James Last would take whatever the hits of the day were and turn them into kind of orchestral sounds.
Oh, I see.
Upbeat versions of pop and classical favourites.
Oh, well, I'm very
he
sorry
appeared
to
at
hear
the
that.
Royal Albert Hall in the spring as part of a farewell tour.
It was farewell, wasn't it?
Well,
he's dead now.
Yeah, well, there's no need to be, trite about it.
No, I'm not being trite. I'm sorry. I'm saying that he must have realised that he was of a very good age and that he may never make the Albert Hall again.
During his career, listen to this, he charted with 65 albums in Britain alone, and at his peak, he was creating 2 albums a month.
Good God, that's
He gained a large and loyal fan base, who was derided by many music purists who do not like his middle-of-the-road versions of classic tunes.
So he would, like, nickel the people's songs and popularise them.
Yeah, well, he would. I mean, like, if you're standing in a lift, right, and you hear the song Waterloo by ABBA, but you know it's not them doing it, not them singing it, but it's a kind of orchestral version, you would know that it was his.
Bit of a con, that, I
I'm
suppose.
surprised you haven't got any of his records.
Do you remember the Barron Knights?
Yes.
They were
awful.
Oh, they were dreadful. They used to
Horrendous.
take, like, the hits of the day and make fun of them and play daft versions of them.
Ghastly.
So did the Wurzels. I am a cider drinker.
Well, who was that recorded by, apart from them?
Well,
nobody.
They were a joke group.
Yeah, but it was their song, wasn't it?
Oh, well, I'll tell you one they did do. Yeah. I got a brand new combine harvester. She got a brand new key.
That wasn't anybody else's song either.
It was the one that girl did and the Rolling Stones did.
What, Marianne Faithfull?
No, not Marianne Faithfull. the girl folk singer from America. You know,
What, Joan Byers?
No. I got a brand new combine harvester.
What on earth are you talking about?
Because I'm trying to think
Why
of the original
would any American
song.
sing a song in a Somerset accent about combine harvester?
No, they wouldn't. That was the Wurzels.
Completely lost the plot here.
That was the Wurzels. But the Wurzels were taking off the little girl folk singer in America who did the original song, and it wasn't called I've Got a Combine Harvester.
What was it called then?
The original was called... her name was Twinkle or Twiggy or something. No,
Twinkle. You talked about Twinkle the other day.
No, it wasn't her.
You got her wrong as well.
Hang on, what was the song? I mean, if you just shut up for a minute, I'll get it in my
I can't
head.
shut up for a minute because then there'll be dead air.
Hang on. I got a brand new combine harvester. What was that a takeoff of? That was a takeoff of a classic pop tune, wasn't it?
I don't know.
You should know. It was your era. You know. I wish I could remember it. Well, look, John will remember it. Our tech up behind the window there. I'm telling you, it was a famous pop song.
Are you thinking of Melanie?
Melanie, that's it.
How did you get that from?
I've got a brand new key.
Yeah, I've got a brand new something. But I don't know if we can find it to play.
But it was Melanie. You're absolutely right. Somebody's told you that in your head, haven't they?
No,
in your ear.
No.
Yes, they have.
No, I've just thought of it.
No, you didn't. Don't be daft. You couldn't even remember the song. But anyway, look. The reason we're talking about that is because people who take off records, to my mind, are nicking somebody else's talent.
Well, no, they pay for it.
I don't respect it.
They pay for it.
I don't respect
it. They
pay
for it. Well, the Beatles covered plenty of other people's songs when they started.
Well, of course they did in the early days because they were only 17 or 18 and they, didn't have the capacity.
In fact,
to write their own songs.
Please Me, which is their first album, which I bought bizarrely after watching that documentary. Almost about, I would say, 60 to 70% of the songs on it are written by other people.
Well, even on the one after that, which is called With the Beatles, and it was the one where the four faces were in shadow, right, in four different sort of profiles.
Yeah.
Half the records on that were like things like Chuck Berry and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I think they've managed to dig out the melody.
Excellent.
Do you want to hear it?
Yes, please. It wasn't a key to open the door or anything like that. No.
Okay.
It was to adjust the wheels on your roller skates.
Okay.
Now, that was the original version, which you said didn't exist.
I didn't say it didn't exist.
Did. You said...
I just said that the Wurzels wasn't a rip-off of somebody else's song.
And I said it was, and we've just proved it was.
Well, no, they've changed the words. No, they've changed the words.
That became... I got a brand new combine harvester. You got a brand new key.
No, it's just an I'll give you the key.
No, it wasn't.
I think it's I'll give you the key.
No, it meant that you can borrow my combine harvester.
Come on, why do you need a key to adjust your combine harvester? It's absolute rubbish.
Why would you lend somebody a combine harvester?
To drive around in.
I think I'll just nip down the pub.
Yeah, but that's not the same, is it?
Take the combine
But that's not the
harvester.
same. That is not the same, right? As actually,
Is that what
ripping
people
off
do in
somebody's
rural parts?
Well, I mean, you've spent plenty of time in rural
combine
parts.
harvester. That's ridiculous.
I definitely think you should go and lie down in a dark room.
Maybe, yeah.
Please tell me you haven't got the Wurzels version of that song.
I think we have.
You?
Great.
No, I don't think they have.
Oh, we haven't?
Thank
No?
goodness for that.
Oh, right,
well, we're nearly out of time now.
Okay, now we're going to talk about
after all
family
that.
holidays.
Family
right?
holidays, yeah.
Yeah, what a disaster.
I'm going to
they
go
are.
on one soon just to get away from you.
No, they're all disasters, aren't they?
Well, they can be. But they can be great fun. It depends.
If you take your kids away to a strange environment, you have to spend 100% more time looking after them than you do at home. Because at least at home, the children are familiar with their surroundings, and they can't, harm themselves by falling down the stairs or something like that. Whereas if you take your
What
kids...
do you think children are like? They can have an accident almost anywhere.
I know they can.
In fact, they're more likely to have an accident at home because they're more relaxed about everything.
All right, well, let me put this to you. How vigilant do you have to be when you take your children on holiday and you're sitting around a swimming pool? You have to be mega vigilant.
Well, not really.
You should be sitting on a high stool watching the children so they don't fall into the swimming pool.
That's not what lifeguards for.
Well, yes, but you can't rely on lifeguards
the first thing you do,
look after your children.
You should teach your children to swim at a very early age so that they can swim in water.
But you know what I'm saying, accidents happen all the time. Well, the other thing is, a lot of people, and I think your family did this when your crazy old father was alive, God rest his soul, when you were driving around Europe and your mother was driving the old beaten-up car, and you two...
It wasn't a beaten-up car, it was quite a new car.
You were in the back with your sister, or every 10 minutes you'd have been moaning, we got far to go.
No, not true.
Where are we now? Oh, can you stop on a wee?
I don't know where you get these stories.
Oh, I
were
want
you there?
something to eat. I want something to eat. I know how children are in the back of cars.
No, I'll tell you how. Well, how do you know how children are? When have you had any children in the back of your car, ever?
You forget, I was a child once in the back of a car.
Yeah, but
in the back of my dad's Morris Minor.
You're always whining and moaning about everything, so it doesn't mean that everybody does what you do. I'll tell you what we used to do. We used to have these gingerbread tins that we used to pick up when we went to Germany, quite big tins. And we used to ram them full of sweets and chocolate, so that if we were ever hungry, we would always have a ready supply of something to nibble on, right?
So your parents just used to keep you quiet by stuffing chocolates in your mouth?
No, these were things that we brought for ourselves. Parents. And also, because we were going camping inevitably, we had the back seat was built up, so the floor was built up to the same level as the back seat, so it was actually like a double bed.
Right.
So we could lie there sleeping, and it was great fun. Because there were no seatbelts in those days. You didn't have to worry. I actually slept most of the way through Germany and Austria.
Did you?
On two different occasions.
Yeah, and you've been sleepwalking through life ever since.
Yeah.
You have been sleepwalking through life ever since, believe me.
I like sleeping.
Sleepwalking to disaster.
I enjoy sleeping.
It's no wonder most of your life has been a car crash.
Your performance this evening has been an absolute advert for why you should sleep more.
I think you are being unduly harsh.
No.
And I think that the verdict of the audience will, as ever, tell us exactly who the star of tonight's show was.
Yes, OK.
And in my mind, there ain't much doubt about that.
Yeah, now here's one from Adrian who says, loving these Wednesday night, Thursday morning porky breakdowns. His lack of sleep makes for great radio.
Well,
that's what everybody knows that.
You're mad.
It's fantastic.
There is no lack of sleep whatsoever.
Just as well, there's no quiz. The quiz tomorrow night, of course, is on Colombo, which the independent quizmasters are struggling with to come up with 10 questions, they're telling me, but we'll manage to get them, I'm sure, by the time we get back. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics.
Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne, podcast from the two mics.
Look at the light!
When I was on the pull as a younger man, I could not seriously go into the singles bar, sit down there, and then all the women who sort of would flutter around me like the butterflies around a jam pot or whatever it's called. Bees, is it?
When was the last time that happened?
Oh, wasps. And then what I'm saying is, and then a lady comes up to you and, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a male model. I stand around near swimming pools all day with dripping wet shorts. Yeah. How could you possibly admit to that?
Well, I don't think...
Where is the dignity? To the north, there's nowhere. To the west, there's nowhere. North, south, east, west. That's right. And to the east, there's the north. There's the North Sea.
Yeah.
So you couldn't get a football club in the North Sea.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.